over there, they're going in another direction. It seems like 3 or 4 different directions. I don't see any definite circulation by any means, but there's definitely some shear here. So we're seeing a definite change in direction with some of these clouds that are moving through. We're starting to see a little bit more lightning, so we're probably going to take shelter here in a second. And I've been away from the radar for a few minutes, but we're really keeping a close eye on some of these dark skies. That's south, looking south here of Chattanooga. And we're north end of the river here in Chattanooga, and looking off to the south over Chattanooga, you can see some of those dark clouds moving across the sky that are lit up pretty well with the brighter skies behind it here in the distance. And the rain's been coming down pretty good here, not nearly as strong as it was earlier, but you can really see how the skies are getting dark. The rain has been picking up quite a bit. And we've been watching the lightning off in the distance. We're in a spot here. There's a lot of trees in this part of Tennessee, so it's hard to find a good enough area or an open enough area where we can see a bunch of the sky. But we're in a pretty good vantage point. I think we all saw a lightning strike the aquarium across the river a little bit earlier. And my producer says that he made a call in, and they said that actually they were hit. And so we think we did see it. And that was the actual strike that made us decide to take cover a little bit earlier. But right now, we're just watching these fast changing skies. So it's a situation, Dr. Forbes, we're keeping a close eye. I don't know how well you can see that the clouds there, but it certainly is changing in a hurry.
Yeah, definitely a wall cloud there hanging down, that layer of a layer cake hanging below the prevailing cloud base. And here is Chattanooga. So this next storm, while it doesn't have a tornado warning on at the moment, you can see it does spiral around and getting very close to Chattanooga, where there could be a rotation developing. That would be consistent with that wall cloud. The storm that went through him previously is up near Athens, Tennessee, near the Etowah area, with a tornado warning on that. And so still some very dangerous storms rolling all across this area, especially Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi. Vivian, Nick?
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Forbes. Appreciate it. And we want everyone to really keep in mind you can get severe weather alerts not only here on the Weather Channel, but also on our website, weather.com.
And we'll talk more about weather.com when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Day Planner. Now, we are tracking severe weather today, pounding parts of the South, and 5 people have been killed in the state of Mississippi alone.
Joining us live on the phone right now is Greg Flynn with the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency. Greg, thanks for taking time out. It's one of those days where it's hard to know where to begin. So many different emergencies going on. Where are you concentrating your efforts right now?
Well, it's been so concentrated all over the state. It seems like it's never ending. Since late last night and all through the day today. Really, it's been firing up in the northern part of the state. We've been focused up there this morning, and now it's firing up in the central and the southern part of the state right now. So really no place has really been immune to the damage.
Yeah, we're looking at the radar right now, and a pretty big thunderstorm approaching the Jackson area, which is the capital, of course. Have you gotten any reports of any situations that are set up in advance of these storms coming into Jackson?
Well, we're getting tremendous warning, you know, between the Weather Channel and all of our local affiliates that are working hard. I think people are well warned for the storm that's approaching. You know, but the poor folks up in North Mississippi, just round and round after rain has been going through up there. Some significant damage up in Webster County, also in Lafayette County near the city of Oxford. Lots of damage up in that area. So we've really been spread all over the state today.
And of course, in addition to the wind damage, the tornado damage, you've got that flooding problem, some ongoing problems as a result of the high water.
We do, not only with what's going on the Mississippi River rising, but they've had so much localized flash flooding that they were having to do some water rescues up in DeSoto County in North Mississippi, right along the Tennessee border. And over in Panola County, they've had a problem with a levee breach there that they've had to be doing some rescues as well. So really, if it's not one thing, it's another. If it's not the thunderstorms or the tornadoes, it's the flash flooding. And we'll just be very happy when all this rain moves out of here tonight.
Yes, really. And speaking of tornadoes, we were just looking at a thunderstorm cell that more than likely produced a tornado near the Philadelphia area. And we've gotten some reports of some of the structural damage at the Northside Park area with a dugout and a rec center basically destroyed. Can you attest to that at all?
Well, some of the only ones that I know for sure that we have, because I just saw that same picture y'all were talking about with the funnel cloud over near Philadelphia. Up in Webster County, I know that they lost a high school, East Webster High School, in that area, an industrial park in Lafayette County. has been 80% destroyed up there. And, we're keeping a real close eye on this tornado warning that's coming through Jackson, because our headquarters are just to the east of downtown Jackson and Pearl.
Yeah, I'm fully aware of that. Thank you very much, Greg Flynn, for joining us, and we certainly do wish you well, and we'll do everything that we can, of course, to warn all the residents in the state of Mississippi.
And we want to do that through our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, right now watching those thunderstorms there in Mississippi. How's it look, Greg?
Large tornado, in fact, at least 3 storms now have tornadoes in progress. We've had, as you just heard, a large tornado came just to the north of Philadelphia, hit a high school, a baseball field there, and additional damage. It's rolling now toward the Schuylkill area. It has just crossed the Winston-Kemper line, with a tornado being reported with that. Has still strong rotation showing up. You can see here the tornado vortex signature between Noxapeter and Schuylkill, might go between Schuylkill and the Macon area, rotating counterclockwise there, reds northeast, greens southwest. That's just one of several. Another tornado now has been sighted in the areas north of Birmingham. Tornado about 8 miles south of Cullman. You can see how it swirls around into potentially a debris ball there. Sometimes when we've been seeing those, we're sure it's debris if it gets intense enough that it turns that pink lavender. But certainly right inside of that, that's probably the rotating wall cloud at low levels. There's a tornado there being sighted coming toward Cullman, Alabama. You need to be seeking shelter there. Then we go up into northern parts of Mississippi. We've had a tornado being reported in the area here up around the Jumpertown, Mississippi area, near heading toward Rienzi, heading toward the Boonville, the Iuka area. It is weakened just a little bit farther down the line, though. A tornado signature very close, within a mile now of Pontotoc. And farther down the line, still additional storms in the Waltham, Manatee areas of Mississippi. And so very dangerous storms here and everywhere. We'll continue to show you some of those storms in additional hits. We'll take a look and see what's coming toward Jackson, Mississippi coming up. Vivian, Nick?
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Forbes. Very, very active again this
Once
evening.
again today, yeah. Day Planner continues at the top of the hour. We are continuing to track another severe weather outbreak in what has already been a busy month for dangerous storms.
We have exclusive analysis, of course, from our severe weather expert. That's just ahead, mainly on that storm approaching the Jackson, Mississippi area. The Weather Channel is your severe weather authority. We're staying with you all night long, right here on the air and on weather.com if you're away from your television set. We'll be right back. Next on Day Planner, we're in the middle of a deadly severe weather outbreak. In a rare move, our severe weather expert has issued an advance Torcon number of 9. Life-saving information is next.
Plus, over a foot of rain, and it continues to fall. We're on flood watch as the sandbags continue to pile up in an effort to keep the water out.
Oh, long lines of severe, intense thunderstorms are moving east, tormenting parts of the south with tornado watches and warnings. But while one round of storm moves out, another round, of course, is re-energizing behind it, carrying more dangerous weather. Thank you so much for joining us for continuing coverage here on Day Planner. I'm Vivian Brown.
And I'm Nick Walker. It's another day of dangerous storms across much of the South. The Storm Prediction Center has issued 2 PDS watches. Those are tornado watches that are particularly dangerous situations. One until 7 p.m. Central Time, another until 10 Central. Here's the latest. At least 10 people are dead from Arkansas to Alabama as a second day of storms and tornadoes cross the South. The governor of Alabama has declared a state of emergency because of storm damage. We're also hearing that people were trapped in a home by floodwaters in Center Point, Tennessee, east of Memphis.
And of course, we have live team coverage of today's threat. Jeff Marrow is live in Birmingham, Alabama. Chris Warren is there in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And our own severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, is manning the expert desk. Let's begin with you, Jeff. In the clear right now, but we had storms earlier in Alabama and more expected later today.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, Vivian. This record-setting April continues across the Deep South today. A lot of people just getting sick and tired of all the severe weather that we've been talking about day after day of tornadoes. And again, as you mentioned, we're under a particularly dangerous situation today. That usually is a very rare occurrence, but it seems like it's more and more commonplace, at least for this month. Behind me, you can see the city of Birmingham, Alabama. A lot of cloud cover here, but there are some breaks in the clouds, actually, allowing enough sun to come in to really heat things up and destabilize the atmosphere. As you mentioned, we had round one come through this morning. Unfortunately, we're now up to 6 fatalities across the state of Alabama. 1 in Cullman County, 1 in DeKalb, 1 in Jackson, 2 in St. Clair, and 1 right here in Jefferson County. Some of those auto fatalities, trees falling on cars or roadway or cars sliding off of slick highways, but some of them were trees falling onto mobile homes and onto vehicles as well. So again, state of emergency declared here in Alabama by Governor Robert Bentley. That's not only because of what happened this morning, but what is anticipated with all these storms moving in. It is just a very volatile situation here. It's kind of a wait and see. Everybody a little bit on pins and needles, kind of just waiting for these storms to start racking through this area. Let's bring in our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes. And Greg, very strong southerly to southeasterly winds blowing here today. Seems like that's an indication of how much energy there is in the atmosphere.
Yeah, it really is. And with south-southeast winds, they're turning to southwest or west aloft. Lots of rotation, and that's feeding right into a storm. A tornado has hit Cullman, Alabama, just to your north by a few counties, and it is we've been seeing it on some YouTube, I believe it was, heading off now. The tornado is right in here, heading toward the Fairview area. Very strong rotation. We could see it picking up debris, so we'll try to get you some video, live of that. Here is the tornado circulation now. We had reports of it about 8 miles southwest of Cullman. It has gone, by all indications, right across parts of the Cullman community and is heading now east of South Vinemont, just to the west of or very close to the Fairview area. Dangerous tornado in progress, causing damage. We know that. A slice through the storm, pretty much a classic. There it was when the debris ball was right over Cullman, taking a slice through the storm. Here is, in fact, at low levels, that's the debris ball. This would be the tornado coming up, part of the very strong updraft then coming right up into the storm. And a very tall storm. You see the overshooting top here. That's the highest top of the thunderstorm's updraft, about 55,000 feet. So it's more than 10 miles tall in this location. We have other dangerous storms in progress as well in many locations. Off to the north here in Mississippi, we have a very strong storm, very strong hook echo showing up north of Manatee, heading east of Calhoun City toward the Houston area. We've had damage reported in, I believe it was Union, up farther north in Mississippi. So dangerous storms in progress there. Taking a look at the storm coming. Mentioned we would take a look at Jackson. Here is Jackson. There is a tornado warning down to the area southeast of Utica, heading toward the Terry area. This storm, fortunately, though, is not as intense as what we have seen in some of the others. We have a tornado in progress. Here we have some of that video. This is the Cullman storm that I talked about. You can see here a large stovepipe to cone-shaped tornado churning counterclockwise across the areas. Now look how wide. There's actually even some debris. So we have a funnel right in the middle, and you can see there's circulation out beyond the edge of that. So this may be a multi-vortex tornado that is swirling around in the areas just to the northeast of Cullman. Here we have it. So now it is taking on a little helical structure at times with corkscrewing, the upward motion taking place. But the winds extend way out to the left, way out to the right here, damaging winds. It's a wide tornado with a central vortex, at times multi-vortex. Be on alert just to the northeast of Cullman.
Welcome back to Day Planner as we are seeing your pictures sent in to us. This sent in by John Kay from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. He says he opened his door this morning, saw a funnel cloud, and this was the result today. One of many tornadoes that we have seen and continuing to get in reports of damage.
And speaking of the severe weather, it's continuing today. Breaking news now out of Oxford, Mississippi. You can see some of the heavier downpours, severe weather, but also we've had the heavy rain as a result of, again, the heavier downpours. Again, this is out of Oxford, Mississippi, where we've had very, very heavy rain and still the threat of the severe weather.
Ongoing tornadoes, and we want to get to our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, right now with an update. Greg.
And we've had a report of a tornado striking, and we in fact have seen some video of a tornado striking Cullman, Alabama. That tornado is still in progress. Here is Cullman, Alabama. The tornado was reported 8 miles southwest. We saw it go across the community. Now, this is probably still the debris ball from that. It is not as intense as some of those lavender ones we've seen. This is hail. So the tornado now has passed north and east of Fairview. Let's take a look at the velocities with this. It still has a very well-defined tornado vortex signature. The velocities have not actually quite caught up to the precipitation pattern. So this is just before it went to the just a couple miles west of Fairview. It now has pushed a little bit to the north and east of Fairview. And I took a 3D approximation to this storm. If you were looking at it from the south, this is the tornado. With some of the big storm tops. So if you were a chaser out there, and I've made the outer edge of the cloud invisible here so you could see in, this would be that big cone-shaped tornado on the ground there in the area near Cullman, Alabama. So dangerous storm is in progress in that area. Then we have some additional dangerous storms in progress as well. We've had a report of a tornado near Rienzi. That's the farthest north storm in Mississippi. There's additional storms looking at very, very intense, basically all across Mississippi now. One of them near Houston, Mississippi. That's going to head toward the Aberdeen area. Well-defined hook echo on that storm with the possibility of a tornadoes there. You can see the tornado vortex signature very strongly now just to the south and east of the Houston area. So dangerous storms there. New tornado has been reported in Arkansas out along the cold front. We've had a report of a tornado near Bay by law enforcement. That storm swirling its way and with a gust front pushing east. So tornado now would be very close to the Lake City area. Heading toward the Leachville area, and I believe this is the Mississippi line, so it too about ready to move into the Mississippi region. So dangerous storms. Take a look here. I'll go back over and slide over to the Philadelphia, Mississippi area. We have a couple of storms there. The one that had hit Philadelphia, Mississippi has gone up to the Shuqualak area, has weakened a little bit. Still off to the east now of Union, Mississippi, southeast of Philadelphia. Very strong possible tornado heading toward the area south of DeKalb in Mississippi. Let's go now to Chris Warren, who's in Chattanooga.
And Dr. Forbes, we are keeping a close eye on the sky. In fact, we take a look here. We are on the north bank here of the Tennessee River, looking off to the west and then directly to the south here. That is where we have Chattanooga. You can see this is downtown Chattanooga. The aquarium's over there with the glass buildings, which we think we saw a lightning bolt hit earlier. But over here, if you look off into the distance, this is over to the west over here. Now you see those hills out there. Those are kind of our indicator. We look that way and we start to see the clouds come over the top of these hills, and when they get really low and then when those hills disappear, that means that rain is getting really close. Then when we start to see the lightning around, that is when we take cover and we head into the truck. So we can see by our environment, looking around all of the different action here, and even over beyond the city, we can see another hill, one of the taller hills around Chattanooga, where we also see some of the low clouds starting to sit down on top of that. So we're keeping a close eye onto the sky. It's hard to pick it up on camera, but these clouds are moving pretty fast overhead. So conditions throughout the day, as they have been, Nick and Vivian, have been changing very quickly. Sunshine one minute, strong storms the next.
Yeah, we're watching them on radar. Thank you very much, Chris, and stay safe.
Well, stay with us. The National 7-Day Forecast is next.
And we continue to cover
Thank you,
severe
Cash.
weather. Stay with us. This is Grayson County, Kentucky, where they're dealing with flooding, of course, from all of the heavy rain and damage, actually, from a possible tornado. We'll be right back.
It's another particularly dangerous situation. PDS watches out for portions of Mississippi and Alabama until 10 o'clock this evening here in Alabama, 7 p.m. for Mississippi. Watches also up through western New York, western Pennsylvania, down into Virginia.
And of course, watching all of these severe weather watches, the tornado watches, and severe weather, let's bring in our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes.
And I'm here with Carl Parker. We'll be teaming up to cover the storms this afternoon. We've had a tornado that has hit Cullman, Alabama. We'll be bringing you some video of that. A very spectacular, very scary type tornado. We've already had tornadoes confirmed Cleveland, Tennessee this morning in EF2. Here is that video. So take a look at the big cone type tornado with a spectacular horizontal rolling motion. We sometimes talk about the vertical wind shear, the changing winds with height that can produce the type of circulation that allow you to get tornado. In this case, we not only have the tornado, but a horizontal roll type tornado. I have never seen anything quite that spectacular. It's a big, long thing. a part of the overall rotation. Here you see it spiraling up into the outer edge of the wall cloud. So a horizontal tornado tapping some of that inflow, the wind shear at low levels, and then it turns into the whole tornado. So that little horizontal tornado was part of what was feeding the rotating wall cloud. And then the big tornado obviously in progress. This was just a few moments ago around the Cullman area. Now this is a big tornado. You can see here the circulation all the way over to the edge, all the way over into here. So, and here we've started over again. We had times of seeing that horizontal roll with circulation all the way over, almost filling the screen. Now it gets a corkscrew. We call that a helical motion, little vortices and swirls that are embedded there. A couple multiple funnels swirling the way in that helix circulation. A spectacular tornado. A piece of debris there, that black, there's some pieces of debris that are spiraling about this tornado coming, hurling out. It gets, it can't follow the tight circulation of the tornado, but it's rising. It's not falling. This one finally has gotten far enough away from the tornado's updraft. No, it's still rising. Look at that. Debris rising, whereas it's, you know, it's heavy. This is not supposed to rise. That's no piece of paper. That's probably an entire house roof that we're seeing there. So spectacular video. Here you see the little wisps of dust that are coming in and then spiraling counterclockwise about the tornado as it swirls its way across the area near Cullman. That's north of Birmingham, Alabama.
So, Greg, in addition to lateral motion in this tornado, you're also getting a great deal of upward vertical motion as well.
Yeah, these tornadoes have often 100 mile per hour or faster upward motions. Here you see a little piece of dust and cloud that was going straight up. There's that piece of debris that began near the ground. It's gone up into the air now and continues to rise up into the air, probably even a whole house roof for hundreds or even 1,000 or 2,000 feet in that case. Here's that horizontal roll that's part of the generation process of the rotation for the parent thunderstorm, spiraling its way in, and multiple funnels out at the edge of this big tornado. Spectacular series of different scales on the tornado.
Greg, we're also hearing about a tornado coming just south of Jackson now into the Terry area and near Terry High School there, moving to the northeast. These storms are really hauling too. They're moving, what, 50 miles an hour?
Yeah, some of them have been 55 miles per hour. And here is Jackson. We had looked at that one earlier. It did not have as strong a rotation as some of the others, but now it is, just like all of the others, it has begun to rotate very, very rapidly.
So how long do you think this is going to go on? How long through the night do you think we'll see this kind of thing?
Well, I think it's probably going to go all night, just gradually tapering off. It'll be marching from where it is right now across Mississippi and Alabama and parts of Tennessee into Georgia, then rolling its way across the Carolinas. It won't get totally offshore yet, though. We'll still have eastern parts of North Carolina, southeast Virginia, and eastern parts of South Carolina into southeast Georgia and Florida, yet with a tornado threat tomorrow and some severe weather all the way up into the northeast.
All right, our Jim Cantore is in Winfield, Mississippi. He's been following the storms there. Jim, what do you have for us?
Well, guys, this is one time when it's just the blind leading the blind out here. Where we got no data because of this morning's squall line, 70 to 90 mile per hour winds taking down a lot of services. So if you're hearing of a tornado warning, if you buy a TV, you need to actually call the old phone, pick it up and dial your neighbors and let them know what's coming in through here. Again, you guys have been talking about Cullman. That's about 75 miles to my east. Extensive damage to homes there, as we've been hearing about. And obviously, we got a long night ahead of us here in Marion County. We are in the town of Winfield in the western part of Alabama, and we will keep you posted here, guys. We've had sirens going off and people taking shelter in a safe shelter right around the corner.
Video coming into the Weather Channel of this tornado near the Cullman, Alabama area. Continuing to see this tornado moving toward the northeast at 45 miles per hour. Warnings are out for Madison County, Jackson County, and Marshall County. Look out around the Arab area. Columbus City, Grant, Woodville could all see this tornado. One of several active tornadoes ongoing right now.
And of course, those tornadoes developing all across parts of the South, and we have team coverage situated everywhere we have severe weather. Let's go to our storm tracker, Jim Cantore, in Winfield, Alabama.
First of all, guys, a huge thank you to the Marion County EMS. They're bringing me information out here so I know what's going on. We just had a tornado that moved near the Hamilton area go through the town of Hackleburg, which is right there near Hamilton. Apparently there's a lot of tree and structural damage. I just heard an EMS call go out there, so they are sending personnel to perhaps attend to someone who is in a home that one of the trees has come down on, or the structural damage itself from the tornado. Also, as we have just found out too, there's a storm on its way here that's going to come very close to Guin, which is the town we just left here because of the fact that we didn't have any cell service. And I should have known in the first place what happened here this morning all over north central Alabama. And a good reason why all the kids are out of school is because of that 70 to 80 mile per hour bow echo that ripped through here and took down a lot of the power lines and even, of course, the cell towers. So we had huge issues with that. So a storm is coming into the Lamar County, Lamar and Marion County line. It is going to come pretty close to us. We're going to watch it here come this way, but I got to be honest with you, you know, it's the blind leading the blind out here. Let's go to Dr. Greg Forbes and talk about what we got coming at us. So Greg, give us an idea of this storm, which is, I believe right now, just coming across Mississippi and into Alabama towards us. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a whole line of the storms there, Jim, that are coming that way. I'll just take a radar tour of some of those storms here. If we can go to graphics 15. The storm that Jim just mentioned, the Hamilton area, is the storm that's right now close to the Phil Campbell area. So it has a debris ball on it. Here's Hamilton that Jim was mentioning. There is the Phil Campbell. There is a debris ball. It's heading toward Phil Campbell. Definitely a tornado in progress there. Let me see if I can get the velocities on this one. Yes, you see a tornado vortex signature on that storm. So a dangerous storm there. I'll just slide down the line and we have storms then over in Okolona in Mississippi area. Another storm here coming down. Again, this will go just a little bit to the south of the Hamilton area. And then sliding down a little bit farther to the south, dangerous storms here heading over to the northwest of Tuscaloosa. This one has had a tornado reported with it. It's coming now toward the Carrollton, Alabama area. Sliding just a little bit farther down to the south, another supercell getting close to the Mississippi-Alabama line near DeKalb, Mississippi, going to head north of Amel toward the Union area of Alabama. So dangerous storms there. Then we go up to the Cullman area, the storm that hit Cullman, Alabama. It began southwest of Cullman, hit Cullman. We're continuing to get reports of that at Hulaco near the Arab, Alabama area. It's going to go a little bit to the south of New Hope. Do we still have, let's take a look at graphics 13. We had a twit pic of the tornado when it was near the Arab, Hulaco area. You can see that it's still, that much as we saw in the Cullman area, still a cone type tornado, a wide tornado in progress, rolling its way at about 55 miles per hour northeast across northern parts of Alabama. Where it's heading is generally, I'll zoom out just a little bit here. This is a broad picture, is just to the south and east of Huntsville, Alabama, Jim. So there are basically supercell thunderstorms everywhere, a lot of them near the Mississippi-Alabama line, and some of them across northern Alabama, racing northeast at 50 to 55 miles per hour.
Yeah, and sadly, we're just getting started here, guys. Again, we are in the town of Winfield. Greg mentioned Cullman. That's about 75 miles from where I am. Also, as I mentioned, that town of Hackleburg, which is only about 35 miles from where I am, which has been hit. Now, the storm that Greg's watching coming at us is going to come right over this area here. So we're going to keep our eyes on this area. Right now, just a lot of wind, 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. Obviously, very fast-moving clouds. And, Greg, you mentioned the low-level helicity, the low-level roll that we got going on. Earlier, when we had breaks in the overcast, I could see in the very low levels of the atmosphere almost a 90-degree angle to the way that the clouds were moving. So do we have shear available in the low levels? Absolutely. And that's why these storms are rotating, and unfortunately will do so for a very long time. Guys, we have just begun what is going to be, unfortunately, potentially a catastrophic afternoon across parts of northern Mississippi and Alabama, and eventually moving into Georgia and Tennessee. We're going to keep our eyes on it here for you, but right now our threat looms off to the south and west. Back to you.
All right, so not only in Mississippi and northern Alabama right now, but central Alabama, and that's where we'll find our very own Jeff Marrow.
Jeff, how things look from your point of view?
All right, well, the tornado that you guys have been talking about, or Greg's been talking about in Cullman, is directly north of the city. In other words, the camera's looking northbound over Birmingham. That's in the foreground. We actually saw that cell go by in the distance, and that's a good distance from here, a couple of counties north, but you could actually see some lightning coming out of that. It moved obviously very quickly by. Nothing right here in Birmingham yet, although the skies are starting to darken off to our west and southwest. It's just a matter of time. It's going to be hitting northern Alabama, northwest Alabama first, but it's going to be coming here, folks, probably within the next couple of hours. We'll continue to watch the skies here for you. A very dangerous situation. If severe weather approaches, please head to a place of safety. We'll be right back with continuing coverage right here.
your local on the 8s.
And we have crews in the field. Jim Cantore is live in Winfield, Alabama. Chris Warren is in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Jeff Marrow is in Birmingham. Let's start off as we head back toward Jim Cantore there in Winfield, Alabama. Jim, thunderstorms, strong ones, possibly with tornadoes moving very close to you.
Yeah, they really are. This is a scary situation, but you know what? This area is a very tornado privy, if you will, savvy, I should say. And we've had people actually coming and parking here in this parking lot, which is right around this building. I just don't have a good vantage point of the shot, quite honestly. But what there is on the other side of this building is a 300-room safe shelter. All right, and there's about 40 people in that right now, and people continue to come on in today and obviously take heed of this this very serious situation. The storm that we've been watching, guys, come across if you will, Marion County, which is where I'm at, looks like it's going to head north toward Hamilton again. That's the one where you see the darkening skies this way. So right now, at least here in Winfield, we are safe. Let's go down the road a piece and talk to Jeff Marrow, who is with us this evening, if you will, on the south side of the city in Birmingham. Jeff, how you faring there? I know you got a long night ahead of you, buddy.
Yeah, we're waiting for round two. Of course, the city and the state got a round of severe weather this morning. 6 fatalities across the state. Let's hope there aren't any more. But wow, looking at that tornado up in Cullman earlier and what you have coming toward you, it doesn't look good. Again, here in Birmingham, we are also under the gun. Particularly dangerous situation. The skies have really darkened here. In just the last few minutes, we've lost the sunshine that we've had much of the early afternoon. It really heated us up, but that's just kind of setting the table, so to speak, for these severe storms coming to us from Mississippi out of the southwest. So again, the city of Birmingham behind me, they had a little bit of damage this morning, mostly some shingles off of roofs and some trees down, but it's going to get a lot worse, I'm afraid, as we head through the afternoon and on into this evening. Let's go a little bit farther to the northeast, all the way up to Chattanooga in Tennessee. Our own Chris Warren already got hit once this morning. How's it going, Chris?
It certainly has been a very busy day here in Chattanooga, and there was even a time here where it was really nice. When I showed up here about noon, that was after a first wave of storms rolled on through, and I could see the remnants of that around town. Just over here, throughout the town, throughout downtown, there's leaves all over the place, snapped branches, some trees down. I spoke with someone from the Parks and Recreation Department saying about a handful of trees. I saw one really big tree. I put it on my Facebook page with the root ball sticking up, and you can see just how big some of these trees have fallen in these winds. And so then we also saw a very strong storm come through right before we were about to go on air around 3 o'clock this afternoon, and we had to seek shelter. So that was round 2 of the strong storms that had a tornado warning on it. That is now east of us, and once again, Carl and Dr. Forbes, we are in a little bit of a break, but by any means, we are not expecting things to be over just yet. Back to you in the studio.
Very serious damage. Reports now from Cullman of confirmed damage at the medical center and people trapped in their basements in Cullman as well. We've got tornado emergencies now going on northeast and northwest of Birmingham, and you've done something that you've never done before.
Yeah, accordingly, for the first time in the history of the Tornado Condition Index, we've upped the value to a 10. If you're in northern Alabama, it's a 100% chance that you're going to see a tornado within 50 miles. And they may not be just ordinary tornadoes. These are destructive, potentially long-lived tornadoes. Let's take a look at the graphics 15 for the radar to show some of these tornadoes. We'll start with the one that's coming closest to Jim Cantore. Jim's at Winfield. There's a storm there that is very close to the Hamilton area. That's about 15 miles to his north. Tornado warning for that one, heading toward the Haleyville, Alabama area. Then across the border in Mississippi, very strong rotation coming toward the Smithville, Mississippi area. You see that red triangle on the, what the radar is saying is potentially a strong tornado. Right there, the red and green, about 3 miles to the west-southwest of Smithville, a potentially strong tornado indicated there, a tornado vortex signature. Then we've heard about the Cullman, Alabama area. That tornado is still in progress here. Cullman was way down to the left. We've rolled up toward south and east of Huntsville now. The area around Grant and the section area still has a possible tornado from that storm. That's what we mean by long-lived tornadoes, and they're rolling at 50 to 55 miles per hour. Stay safe. We'll be back.
We are monitoring severe weather, several supercells developing over the northern parts of Alabama.
Many active tornadoes going on right now, so let's get right to our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, alongside Carl Parker. Guys?
Yeah, and for the first time in the history of the Torcon Index, we put a 10 on the Torcon. That is a near certainty for tornadoes here across parts of Alabama, and we've had tornado emergencies.
Yeah, we do. We have confirmed tornadoes, and they aren't just any tornadoes. They're large wedge or stovepipe tornadoes causing lots of destruction. So northern Alabama, that's the greatest threat area there. 100% chance of a tornado within 50 miles.
No, these radars are very sensitive, and you can actually see the debris being picked up by these tornadoes in some cases.
Yeah, and one of those in northern Alabama has a debris ball. That's indicative of debris being picked up. And it's this storm here up near Russellville. For reference, here's Huntsville, so it's generally heading that way toward the Moulton area. I'm going to zoom in on that one. Jim Cantore's in Winfield, so it's one storm to the north of that one, but other storms heading that way could also get debris balls. Let me zoom in here and we'll see. Can you see this little pinkish lavender oval or ball here? That's a tornado vortex signature right there to go along with it. I've seen so many of these in the past few days, it's frightening, but you can see here the greens going southwest bound, the red's going northeast bound. That's the tornado, and it is picked up. It's caused damage. We don't know quite the character of it, but it has caused enough damage there that it is producing that debris signature. The only other kind of thing that can give radar returns that intense would be hail. So these are hail spots, but you don't get hail in that kind of a location. I took a slice through it. We can see how high that debris was being tossed by the tornado. So there is a slice. This is all the big thunderstorm hail shaft and rain shaft, but off in the otherwise clear air, the inflow, you see that debris going up. This is 10,000 feet here, so it's being picked up in the air at least 7,000 feet. We did see a video earlier of some debris being picked up very, very high, and certainly that seems to be the case here. I'm going to go back in time. Actually, it's advanced. We've had some new radar come in. That ball continues to be in progress. It's going to go about 3 miles to the northwest of Moulton, but it has hit Phil Campbell. So let me zoom around here just a little bit, and then we'll go backwards in time and track where that debris ball has been. You see the Phil Campbell area. We had reports of tornado going across Phil Campbell. You saw as it came into Phil Campbell, it still had that debris ball. And I'll slide just a little bit more and see how far we had it. Very strong debris ball there near the Hackleburg area. So very strong couplet at that point as well.
So, Greg, to be clear about this, when you're looking at these debris balls, you're talking about devastating tornadoes in this case, right?
Yeah, it's probably pieces of sheet metal, parts of roofs that have been picked up. And you may recall, if you've been watching constantly, we had a report of a tornado near Hamilton. So that's where it began. That's where we began to get an intensifying signature. And it has headed up now through Phil Campbell and farther off to the northeast. It's going to go just a little bit to the south and west of the Huntsville area. And yes, it's picking debris up in the air and making a very much brighter return on radar than rain would.
And the movement in this case has 70 miles an hour, yeah. So this is not a case where you want to go outside and try to figure out what's going on.
No, you need to seek shelter as soon as you get that warning or as soon as you see lightning or hear thunder in this case, because these storms are rotating.
Also, there's a new tornado warning now just east of Philadelphia, new tornado emergency in Mississippi just east of Philadelphia, so we are still getting some very devastating tornadoes.
Yeah. There's all sorts of them out there.
All right, back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Forbes and Carl, keeping you updated, of course, on the severe weather.
It's going to be an ongoing threat here for the next several hours. And we want to go now to the Digital Media Center with our own Mark Elliott, who's been watching the pictures coming in from this tornado that hit the Cullman, Alabama area. Some pretty impressive stuff, Mark.
Yeah, Nick, lots of people talking about Cullman, Alabama on Twitter right now. Let me show you what they're talking about. This is from Twitter user Grizzos. She apparently stopped with her family at McDonald's and missed the tornado, now driving into town and starting to see reports of debris and obviously trees on the road. But check out some of these images that are coming in. This one has been retweeted by just about everybody. I can't even find the original source, but that is the Cullman tornado. And this one is just a ridiculous picture. The actual tornado bent behind a Jax in Alabama. This was sent originally to the Fox affiliate in the area, and now, again, everybody on Twitter is talking about it. Of course, you can always find up-to-the-minute information on weather.com. Click on the storm tracker. It brings you to a page with absolutely everything you could want. Updates from Eyewitness and TWC Breaking, the latest radar, the watches, the warnings, and Dr. Forbes' forecast all in one spot for you. Nick and Vivian, back
All right,
to you.
appreciate the update. Thank you very much, Mark. Boy, some amazing stuff online right now.
And continuing live coverage, of course, right here on the Weather Channel, as we have strategically located our severe weather trackers out across the South, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi. We'll be right back.
We have live team coverage of today's severe weather threat. Jim Cantore live in Winfield, Alabama. Jeff Marrow is live in Birmingham. Mark Elliott is in the Digital Media Center with incredible images from viewers.
But first, Dr. Greg Forbes is manning the expert desk, and we begin with Jim, who's in, again, Cullman, Alabama.
Winfield, Alabama, and watching storms all around that area. Is Jim first? Jim up first?
I think so, guys. Again, what we've seen here, again, you mentioned Cullman. That's about 75 miles to my northeast. But more importantly and recently, up toward Hamilton in a little town called Hackleburg, those areas got hit pretty hard. And that's when Dr. Forbes was talking about starting to see that debris ball, if you will, on that area. So that's northern Marion County into Franklin County, over into Lawrence County now. And let's go ahead and find out what's going on here and how they're preparing for the storms. I want to bring in Mr. Wayne Silas, who's the mayor here of Winfield. And he's going to talk a little bit about, again, your storm shelters. This is great. You got people taking shelter this evening.
Up there, about 40 or 50 people now. They're coming in all right now as we speak.
And how many does the shelter usually hold?
It'll hold 250.
Now, somebody told me there's 3 shelters. Is it Winfield or throughout the county?
This shelter is just in Winfield. They have a shelter in Gewin. Same shelter, Safe House.
Okay, Safe House, and then these obviously will take the brunt of anything that Mother Nature has to take. Obviously, you go back to 1974, folks, for those of you who are not familiar. Huge F5 tornado with a 74 Super Outbreak came through here and pretty much wiped out the town.
It did. I was working that night with Alabama Power Company, and it did. It wiped out Gewin, and we were trying to restore electricity what we could that night. I just began my career with Alabama Power when that happened.
And how do most of the people around here get the warnings? I mean, this morning we had a 70 to 90 mile an hour squall line come through. It took down, some of the, if you will, the phone lines, and so we can't get that out. Internet access is very, very difficult as well. How do people get the message here? Is it just these sirens we hear going on?
It's the sirens, and plus we watch the Weather Channel, and then James fans, and they watch TV. My wife was monitoring it on television a few minutes ago.
Does this remind you of 74, Mr. Mayor?
It does. It does. The evening, in fact, in 74, we were going back to another location that had been hit pretty hard, and then they called us, said it wiped Gewin out. So we headed to Gewin to start over there, and it was really a nightmare.
Well, let's hope we don't have a repeat of that, sir.
I do too.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Mayor. We really appreciate that again. The Honorable Mayor Wayne Silas here, guys, as we are sitting under a 10 Torcon across northern Alabama this afternoon. Not surprising, certainly, from what we've seen. I'll tell you, Carl and Dr. Forbes, what an amazing April. Boy, it's going out with a bang. Back to you.
Yeah, it certainly is. Jim, we want to tell you about a tornado emergency now for Sumter County, including Geiger and Panola. That storm expected to be in Tuscaloosa at about 4:45. Also, tornado emergency for Noxubee County in Mississippi and for Marshall and Jackson counties in Alabama. Dr. Forbes, what exactly is a tornado emergency? Why that?
Well, in this case, a very strong rotation on Doppler radar, and they're seeing by spotters, seeing a large tornado that is capable of doing a wide swath of destruction is coming into a heavily populated area. We have several, we'll take a little bit of a radar tour here. Here is Birmingham. So Jeff Morrow, about an hour and a half from now, is in Birmingham. He may be seeing this storm go pretty close to him, probably just a little bit to the north. Just to the north and east of Reform there, a whole donut hole in that storm. That's another signature of a very wide possible tornado. Extremely strong tornado vortex signature there. Greens eastbound, reds westbound. The tornado right there. I took a slice through the storm. It's pretty spectacular. Here is the slice right through that donut hole. And so you can see here the updraft coming in. This little slice right there, that looks like sort of an elephant trunk, that may be the tornado that's coming in. Wow. And then goes right into the updraft of 52,000 foot, nearly 10-mile tall storm here. So very dangerous storm in this location. Now, you mentioned the southwest of Tuscaloosa. I'll slide down to there. Here is Did I go to the right one? Yes, there is the Tuscaloosa in the upper right corner. So a pair of storms rotating very strongly, one going to go just to the south of Aliceville and just to the northwest of Union, the other over in Mississippi just to the northeast of DeKalb. And so the Panola storm is one of these. This is one of the storms that has the tornado emergency, very strong rotation. And again, we're talking up on these.
And again, we're talking about 445 for Tuscaloosa or thereabouts for those storms.
At the rate this is moving, we're talking less than an hour coming to Tuscaloosa. Now we come up into the storm that is the previous storm that hit Cullman, Alabama. It has moved all the way now well to the east of the Huntsville area, still rotating very strongly. Tornado indicated here between the Scottsboro area and Pisgah, with still strong rotation in this one. So this has been going a long time. Still a little bit broader circulation, but there could be one or two tornadoes in there. It is trying to get itself reorganized. We have tornado being reported east of the Knoxville area, over in the vicinity of Maryville. There's one storm here that's down near the Greenbeck area. As it came through the Madisonville area, it had a report of a tornado. Now it's near Greenback. Another storm with a rotation heading toward the Sevierville area. So dangerous storms. That's not too far to the north of Pigeon Forge there in Tennessee. So very dangerous storms are rolling across the area.
You know, a lot of times these severe weather events have a peak at maybe shorter or longer. In this case, it looks like it's going to go on for quite some time.
Yeah, it has extreme strong upper air forcing, a very strong jet stream that is rolling across the area. And so these storms are going to go well into the nighttime, if not all night. It'll gradually lose, by all indications, its tornado threat overnight. If we could go quickly to a graphics 13, we have another one of the pictures of one of the tornadoes earlier today, and you'll see that these are not narrow rope tornadoes. This one, again, a tornado that is a stovepipe conical tornado, sizable, both in width and in the kind of rotation we've seen in some of the videos of these. So dangerous tornadoes are in progress today.
Greg, what do we think about the Atlanta area for tonight?
Certainly this evening, I believe I've given Atlanta a Torcon of 8, so still dangerous storms yet to come, maybe after the dark period. That, of course, is always a deadly time of night.
We're going to have much more on this coming up. Stay tuned.
I can't let allergies stop me from leading the way.
Meteorologist Jeff Marrow here in Birmingham, Alabama, and the clouds are racing from the southwest to the northeast. There you can see the city of Birmingham behind. Dark clouds moving over the city. No storms here right now, but what I want to do is bring in our severe weather expert, Greg Forbes. And Greg, you've been mentioning those two cells to the south of Tuscaloosa. It looks like those may be the ones that are headed in our direction. What do you think?
Yeah, indeed. There's one very well-defined storm with a tornado wind at Ashcraft Corner that's due west of you. It will go to your north. The ones that are down near Tuscaloosa will be the ones that come into you. And it's probably around an hour to an hour and a half from now by the rate that it's moving.
All right, do they have significant rotation with them? Have you looked at those storms?
Oh, I absolutely do, and we can take a look at that here on the graphics 15 if we want, or do we want to? Yeah, there we go. So here is Jeff. He's in Birmingham, so due west. You can see quite the rotation on this storm. It may be getting a debris ball there. It's come across Reform, heading off to the north and east. It'll go just to the south of Berry, up toward the Summerton area, which is just to the north of the Birmingham area. And so if I show you the velocities on that one, it definitely has a tornado vortex signature. Green's going eastbound, red's going westbound. And then we'll slide down the storms that are more likely to come toward him. Let me zoom out just a little bit so we can still see Birmingham. The storms, here is Birmingham, and so we have a pair of storms there that are rolling toward the Tuscaloosa area. One is just to the south of Aliceville, the other just coming into Alabama, that will head toward the Moundsville, the Tuscaloosa area. These will be the ones that will come toward the Birmingham area. So yes, indeed, Jeff, you're in the line of fire for storms coming first toward Tuscaloosa and then coming toward Birmingham.
All right, battening down the hatches. Looks like about an hour to an hour and a half, as you said. Thanks, Greg. Let's go up the road a piece all the way to Chattanooga in Tennessee. Our own Chris Warren standing by there. Chris, what's it look like in southeast Tennessee?
Well, right here, Jeff, it is pretty quiet, but like you, we are also keeping a close eye on the radar and trying to figure out what's coming next here for Chattanooga, because Chattanooga, downtown proper, has already been hit hard twice today. once before I arrived, which was around noon. And in fact, it was pretty nice throughout a good portion of the midday. Blue sky, it was looking great. However, driving around town, you could see some remnants of some of the strong winds that happened earlier, some leaves on the ground. In fact, if we take a look right here, the park that I'm in, the north side of the river, downtown Chattanooga is just across the river here. You can see a little bit of leaves here. This has been a pretty common sight around Chattanooga. And here's also where a tree has been sawed off at the base. Presumably, it had been blown over. Now, I don't know if it was from this storm or from another one, but I spoke with someone from the Parks and Recreation Department earlier who was out here cleaning up some of the brush, and she said they did lose a tree here in this park. So that could have been it, but there's been a number of storms that have rolled through here. But this has been a very common sight. Also, where I am on the north end of the river here, the Tennessee River, there are a lot of areas that are without power. In fact, there's a residence just behind me to the east here, and they don't have power, so they can't watch us, and they come out here and they ask me every once in a while for updates to see what's going on. But right now, I mean, there are tornado warnings off to the east with the storms that rolled through earlier this afternoon. We tried to do a live report, but it came through just as we were about to start going on air. We saw the lightning hitting in the city, and now we're looking in this direction out here. We're looking to the south and to the west, especially in northern Alabama, for what could be coming next. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you very much, Chris Warren, of course, in Chattanooga, Tennessee, still on guard for more severe weather.
Well, stay with us. The national 7-day forecast is next.
And we continue to cover severe weather. This is Grayson County, Kentucky, where they're dealing with flooding from heavy rain and even damage from a possible tornado. Much of Kentucky remains under a flood warning or a flash flood watch through tomorrow night.
And as the flood threat continues, here are some tips.
Own warning with a 10 on the Toricon index, and that means nearly 100% chance of tornadoes in northern Alabama.
So many areas have been hard hit already today. Our coverage now takes us to Butler County, Missouri, where there was a report of a tornado just in the last half hour. Joining us on the phone is Sheriff Mark Dobbs. Sheriff Dobbs, thanks for joining us. Do we have reports of damage in your area?
Yeah, we do have some damage reported, trees down and so forth. Right now, a crew has been sent out to where the tornado was actually spotted. We had a report of a vehicle that had been turned over and perhaps some people trapped in it. So they're in the process right now of trying to locate that vehicle and rescue those folks.
So it is possible we do have some injuries from this. As far as the reports of the tornado, can we confirm that it was a tornado? Did we have eyewitness reports?
Definitely so. We received several reports and from citizens, and then eventually our officers who were down in that area doing high water rescues actually seen the tornado and even photographed it.
Let's talk a little bit more about the high water rescues. People obviously getting into trouble if they try to drive through water-covered roadways. Has that been the biggest problem?
It has. That's been one of the two things is driving in the high water and people remaining in their homes in the high water.
All right, it's just a double threat there today. Sheriff, thank you. We'll let you get back to what has turned out to be a very, very busy for you. Sheriff Mark Dobbs there with Butler County in Missouri. Tornado damage, flood problems continue in that area as well.
And that's what we're finding over parts of South at this hour. In northern Alabama, super thunderstorm cells have developed. So let's bring in our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, to talk more about those supercells. Dr. Forbes.
Yeah, and Carl Parker is here with me. Between the two of us, we're trying to keep track of the tornado emergencies and, in my case, trying to keep track of where the storms are and which look the most dangerous. Follow up on the phoner, though. Thought I'd show you the storms here in south that have come across Missouri. They're coming into Kentucky now and parts of Illinois. A different character of storms. This is a line of storms on the cold front, but they have these little kinks, little dog leg surges forward, and those are where the tornadoes can form. And so these tend to be quick forming, short-lived tornadoes. You can see a little bit of a green surges forward, red surges back near the R in Oak Ridge. And so that's where a possible tornado is. Just to the south and east of Jackson, you see another one of those little undulations. So those are quick forming and quick, usually narrow tornadoes that form in those areas. Now, Carl, you have some emergencies down in Alabama, and we'll talk about some of those.
Yeah, as we get here into western Alabama, tornado emergency now in effect for Sandtown, Southern Berry, and Boley Springs. That's Tuscaloosa, Pickens counties. That's moving northeast at 55 miles an hour. We've gotten a lot of these tornado emergencies today. We've gotten a lot of reports of large tornadoes, a 1/2 mile wide tornado in Hatton and Lawrence County. So, Greg, of all the days to not ignore the warnings, this would be it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should point out there is a tornado warning. It's not an emergency, but a small storm moving more to the left than the others coming into the Huntsville area. Tornado warning there. The former Cullman storm is still going. In fact, it's re-intensified. Look at that red triangle. There is a debris ball, another sign that the tornado is in progress, kicking up debris right there. We've seen way too many of those today. There it is, just to the northwest of Ider in northeast parts of Alabama, well off to the east of the Tuscaloosa area. There you can see it, heading generally toward the Trenton area. This is Georgia now, so this one is about ready to make its way into the northwest corner of Georgia. Now, down to the southwest of Birmingham, we have a pair of big storms. One of them due west of Birmingham, south and east of Fayette. It, too, has a debris ball on that. And then the next storm down, it is headed toward Tuscaloosa, a very well-defined tornado heading generally toward Tuscaloosa and the Moundville area. So dangerous storms, Carl, many places.
That's right. A very serious day here as many long-track tornadoes have developed. We're going to have much more on this dangerous severe weather situation coming up in just a moment. See this.
When my son was younger, he used to love zebras. We even painted his room.
Forbes is manning the expert desk. Seems we have tornadoes across Mississippi, Alabama, up into Missouri, a widespread outbreak today.
All across the South, and because it's another day of dangerous storms across the South, we are preempting storm stories.
But it's Cantore stories that we're preempting, but we have our own storm tracker, Jim Cantore. We're going to do you one better and bring him to you live. And what a story we have today there in Winfield, Alabama, Jim.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than this, or worse, depending certainly on how you look at it. Just to kind of bring all our viewers tuning in up to date here this morning, we had a vicious squall line move across north central Alabama, enough so that many schools were closed. And of course, that was just the beginning. The atmosphere kind of reloaded, and now we're watching long-track tornadoes that have produced extensive damage in the town of Cullman off to my northeast, also in Hamilton and Hackleburg, which is one of the areas here in Marion County, which is the county I'm in, about 15-20 miles to my north, where they've actually had extensive damage up there and possibly even some injuries as well that they're going to have to deal with here. So, guys, we are just getting this underway. I want to bring in on the phone Governor Robert Bentley, who joins us now and talks about a little bit about what's happened here. Governor Bentley, can you confirm what's going on right now in terms of some of the new damage and potential injuries that we've got going on in Alabama?
I can, Jim. In fact, I've been monitoring this all day. I'm now at the State Emergency Management Headquarters in Clanton, and we have 6 confirmed fatalities here that we have heard about. Of course, we have major damage all over the state. Where you are in northwest Alabama, and then, of course, in Cullman and Marshall counties. Of course, we have all available state resources responding at the present time, and like you, we're urging all of our citizens to take precautions, because we're watching, just like you are, storms on the ground right now.
So for people that are actually able to watch us on TV, Governor, this afternoon, because we've had a lot of power loss, about 250,000, I understand, from this morning, and that was where the 6 casualties came from. That was this morning's action. Now we have all this huge tornado threat this afternoon. How is the word getting out best, and how would you recommend people of Alabama to get that word out?
Well, of course, radio. If they have any type of battery-powered radio and storm radios, emails, any way that you can contact friends and relatives, we need to let them know. Right. But we're doing everything that we can, and we have all available resources responding at present.
Just pick up the phone if you have to, or go to door, as you've been mentioning. And Governor, you have, as a result of all this action, issued a state of emergency, correct?
I have. I issued a state of emergency this morning when the tornadoes began, and we're responding all over the state. We're working with our local representatives and senators and all of our EMA people all over the state, and our local responders, our first responders. They're doing an excellent job.
They sure are, and I want to add the wonderful folks here in Marion County as well, Governor. Thanks, Abel, for talking to us. We really appreciate your time, sir. You can talk to us anytime, as a matter of fact, update if you'd like. We'd really appreciate to hear from you. All right, let's toss it back to Carl and Dr. Forbes and tell our friends here in Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, where the huge threat is tonight, what's coming at us. Guys, take it over.
And Jim, we were just talking about the fact that this is really an extraordinary event. I mean, this may end up being one of the worst tornado outbreaks on record of any time.
Yeah, we're seeing a huge number of supercell thunderstorms in multiple lines rolling across just Mississippi and Alabama. There's additional storms up into the Tennessee Valley near Nashville, into Kentucky, up in Virginia. So we may wind up with something rivaling the Super Outbreak in 1974. We may get enough tornadoes also today to push April 2011 to the biggest tornado month on record. We'll see, but it's looking unfortunately that way. One of those very dangerous storms right now off to the west-northwest of Birmingham near Berry, just about 5 miles southeast of Berry, Alabama. Another debris ball there, you can see it. And when those happen, that means that the tornado has destroyed something. It's kicked debris up in the air, enough of it that we can see a heightened return on radar as if it were hail. Hail gives that kind of signature, but big pieces of debris like hail size or bigger will do that, and we have a tornado vortex signature there. It's heading for the Oakman area. It's heading for Parrish, Cordova in Alabama. Dangerous storms there.
Now, Greg, we got a report 427 of debris falling from the sky in that location and buried there in Fayette County.
Yeah, that certainly is a thing that we saw in the Nashville area, I believe. The tornado here a few minutes ago with a tornado with a little debris ball likely picked up some debris, caught it into the updraft, and fell out of the sky there, probably just a little bit south of Berry. So dangerous storms. I should say the Raleigh tornado, we had reports of that happening. Now, up in the Nashville area, which is where I intended to go, we do have a tornado warning there. The main threat is down closer to the Brentwood area. It will be sliding to the south and east suburbs, probably more over toward the Mount Juliet area, downtown Nashville, getting some heavy rain. This is not as strongly rotating a storm as we're seeing in some of the other locations.
And Greg, also now a tornado.
Of course, we have our live team coverage out in the elements. We have our people stationed in different areas. Let's go to Jeff Marrow. He's in the Birmingham area where storms are just to the west of Birmingham right now. Jeff, can you see the ominous clouds building overhead?
Boy, I'll tell you, Vivian, it is ominous is definitely the word here. You can see Birmingham behind me. I don't know if you can see how fast the clouds, the low-gray clouds, are moving from the left-hand part of the screen to the right-hand part of the screen, but they're zipping along here. We've had some pretty high wind gusts up here. I would say gusting to about 30 miles an hour occasionally. You know, I have to hold on to my hat almost like we're in a little bit of a tropical storm or hurricane. We even had a tree snap off not too far away from us, and we even haven't had the big thunderstorms coming yet. But I got to tell you, that one big storm you mentioned is just off to our west. We think that one will move by, and we'll probably be able to show it to you as it goes by here in the next 45 minutes or so. But the ones we're really concerned about are off to our southwest. Those will move through Tuscaloosa, and they'll head up our way probably within the next hour or so. Those all have tornado warnings on them. Let's go to Greg Forbes. And Greg, again, that one near or north of Tuscaloosa, that's a pretty impressive storm right now.
Yeah, and there's one that is coming right toward Tuscaloosa, a pair of very, very dangerous supercell thunderstorms. Take a look here. This one up to about 8 miles east of Berry now with a tornado on it, debris ball. Jeff is in Birmingham. But coming toward Jeff, we have a tornado reported with this one near Gina. That's near the Union area. That one is about 20 minutes away from Tuscaloosa. So that means then that it's less than an hour away from Birmingham, Alabama. Dangerous storms there. Now up farther to the northwest in Alabama, we have also a tornado that's in progress about northwest of Huntsville, about 9 miles northwest of Huntsville in the area of around French Mill. There's a tornado being reported. Again, you see one of these lavender debris ball a definite tornado there. That ultimately will go to Huntland over in Tennessee. Now, I also wanted to slide a little bit farther off to the northeast corner of Alabama, because there you see this is the remnant of the Cullman storm still heading toward the Trenton area. That is going to slide ever so far close to the Chattanooga area. Some of the hail may get into Chattanooga, and that's where we have Chris Warren. So, Jeff, the storms are taking aim pretty close to you guys out in the field. Stay safe, Jeff.
Now, Greg, I know you've been doing this for a long, long time. You were a professor of mine back at Penn State. Aside from the '74 super outbreak, I mean, have you ever seen the atmosphere quite this volatile? This is pretty special.
Yeah, this is really, really very bad. And I was just saying, Jeff, that I think we're going to get so many tornadoes today that this is probably going to push the month of April to an all-time record for any month. That certainly is not a good thing to have happen. We may have enough tornadoes today that we threaten the super outbreak, 148 tornadoes and 24-hour record. Speaking of Chattanooga and Chris Warren, let's go to him now with a storm headed his way.
Well, Dr. Forbes, I can tell you right now the rain is really coming down. It has been for a while. We're about to seek some shelter because the lightning is starting to come in over us. We've been hearing the thunder off in the distance, but now we're starting to see more and more of the lightning closer and closer to us. And the birds are starting to scatter around here in Chattanooga, looking off into the distance. And once again, we're talking about we look in the distance for the hills. We can no longer see the hills off in the distance. And now this lightning is getting really close. So there's a tornado warning for this area, and we're going to go ahead here and pack it up and go find some shelter and let this get through, because once again the lightning seems like it is getting really close to us and a little too close for comfort. So we want to make sure, Forbes, we set a good example, and as we do, will you let us know kind of what you're seeing with the storm?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely the heavy rain, maybe some hail coming your way, and of course, lightning is a big threat. Let's take a look. This is the same storm that caused the damage in Cullman, Alabama. He's in Chattanooga, the hail heading his way, the tornado heading toward Chickamauga and Fort Oglethorpe just down to his side. A very, very dangerous storm, just one of dozens of tornadoes that have been confirmed. I've never seen on any one day so many debris balls. I think I've seen more today, the signatures of tornadoes casting up debris, than I have in the entirety of my career here at the Weather Channel. Stay safe, everyone. We'll be right back after these messages.
Radar. Most of those storms are well to the east, Tennessee, but you can see the damage has been done well to the east of the Memphis area anyway. But a lot of damage has already been done in Memphis, and those storms now in eastern Tennessee and down across northern Alabama.
What a day this is. We are in the midst of possibly an historic tornado outbreak. Let's bring in our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, meteorologist Carl Parker. Guys, tell me the latest now on where we're seeing possibly tornadic storms.
Guys, we just got a report of a large wedge tornado heading for Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We're going to take a look at that on radar in just a moment. And Greg, we've been talking about the fact that this is going to end up being one of the worst tornado outbreaks in history.
Yeah, certainly in terms of largeness, let's hope that it doesn't wind up being very deadly, but certainly the kind of tornadoes we're getting today, these long-tracked, violent tornadoes, we need people to be seeking shelter as soon as they get the warning, because the storms are moving 50, 55, even faster miles per hour. We've given a torque-on today, the first time in the history of the Tornado Condition Index of a 10 for northern parts of Alabama. It's pretty much guaranteed there's going to be a tornado within 50 miles of you if you're in the northern half of the state. In fact, there already have been, at this point, tornadoes within 50 miles of most locations.
And Greg, the key to all of this is the fact that we've got such wind in the upper atmosphere, yes?
Yeah, we have pretty strong low-level winds and then a very fast jet stream aloft. Upper low is fanning that off because of the counterclockwise winds around that low. Jet stream just blasts in. It's well over 100 miles per hour up the altitude where the jet aircraft fly, and it's tapping a lot of warm, moist air. And it fans apart. It's just not a straight jet stream. It pulls apart. If you do that in top of the bath water, you'll have water rise, and you do that in the atmosphere up aloft, and air rises, and that's triggering these green top thunderstorms that are just blasting their way east. You combine those triggering ingredients with the low-level forcing, you can see the thunderstorms just exploding here in the warm, moist air feeding in off the Gulf of Mexico. And as a consequence, we're seeing some of the storms that you're seeing here on the radar. Graphics 15, we have a tornado being reported here. This is in the area Cordova. big tornado heading off toward the north and east across the areas north of the Huntsville area. Then we have tornado emergencies for some of the other areas. There's been a large tornado reported heading toward the Tuscaloosa area, a wedge tornado. It's near Mantua, should be within 10 to 15 miles now of the Tuscaloosa area. And a debris ball just south of Jasper heading toward the Summerton area of Alabama, northwest of Birmingham. So dangerous, dangerous storms in several lines out there, Carl.
A couple of tornado emergencies right now for Walker and Fayette counties and also for Lincoln and Madison counties. Folks, please, please take these warnings very seriously. This is one of those days when we've got some serious damage going on.
Yeah, stay safe, everybody.
Back to you guys.
All right, appreciate the update, guys. Man, just what an evening this is turning out to be. Tornado warnings abound.
Of course, we have our experts at the expert desk, and we have live team coverage scattered out across the South. We also have our very own Mark Elliott in the Digital Media Center with more on tweets and other social media outlets that he's been getting new information. Mark.
Yeah, Vivian, lots of people talking about the tornadoes rolling through Alabama right now, and I wanted to show you even more images that we're getting into the Weather Channel, basically up to the second. Let me show you this first one. This is from Gramps Goodies. This is from Alabama, looking across the street. That's a Sonic, and apparently this user's pictures, his daughter's house is right behind that Sonic, right where the tornado was rolling on through. We've also seen some large hail being reported. This is from Twitter user Ronnie Dupree. This is from Mississippi, Nettleton, Mississippi, and that hail will definitely leave its mark across the area. We're starting to get pictures of damage too. This is from Big Head Chuck in the Cullman area. This is the First Baptist Church. You can see the entire wall is gone and all of these windows are indeed blown out. And finally, I want to show you this damage as well. This one is out of Jasper, Alabama, and we've even had reports of damage through Chattanooga from storms this morning, and more storms are still headed in that direction. It's a busy evening here at the Weather Channel. Back to you guys.
Oh, yes, it is. Thanks very much, Mark.
I'm afraid we're going to be hearing more from Cullman, Alabama as far as damage, and damage reports continue to come in from many areas across Alabama and Tennessee. We have particularly...
Stay with the Weather Channel.
Welcome back to Day Planner. We have live team coverage of today's severe weather threat. Jim Cantore is live in Winfield, Alabama. Jeff Marrow is live in Birmingham. And Dr. Greg Forbes is manning the expert desk.
And thank you so much for joining us for continuing coverage here on Day Planner. I'm Vivian Brown.
And I'm Nick Walker. Now, because it's another day of dangerous storms across the South, we're preempting Cantore stories. The Storm Prediction Center has issued 3 PDS watches, particularly dangerous situation. And our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, has issued a Torcon index of 10 for the first time ever, a 100% chance of tornadoes in northern Alabama.
Okay, I tell you what, right in the line of fire, we have our very own Jeff Marrow in the Birmingham area. And Jeff, we just saw on radar a very ominous looking thunderstorm cell, more than likely producing a tornado near the Tuscaloosa area, and that could be headed toward you.
Yeah, we're very concerned about that cell, Vivian. That would be off to my right here or left of the camera. We're keeping a very close watch on what's coming up from the southwest, probably here within the next half hour to 35 minutes. There's another cell that has passed us by to the north. The tornado sirens just went off here in the Birmingham area. They just shut them down, but for about 5 minutes, we had the tornado sirens going off, probably for the cell that's passing by to our north here, maybe skirting the northern part of Jefferson County. Right now, we're okay, but again, those cells down toward Tuscaloosa, bear watching as they head toward our area. Now let's go off to the northwest of Birmingham, a little bit closer up into northwest Alabama, and Jim Cantore, I think, has a talk with the mayor there. Jim?
Yeah, we talked with the mayor earlier on today, Jeff. We're going to talk to emergency manager in just a moment, but the mayor, again, very, very aware, obviously, of what's going on. There's an emergency safety shelter, which is just around the corner from me. It holds 350 people, and there are some now 60 people within that shelter tonight here in Marion County. We're in the tiny town of Winfield. You can see behind me here, we don't have many lights on this side as we go, if you will, toward the north, but as we look on down toward the south, things are obviously, actually I got them backwards. South is that way, north is this way, and now the streetlights on the north side are also out as well. So we've lost power here in the town of Winfield tonight. Let's find out, though, where other areas have been hit. We've had problems in Cullman and also in Hackleburg. These are 2 very hard-hit areas within a 70-mile circumference of me. I want to bring in the emergency manager of Cullman County. This is Christy Johnson. Christy, first of all, thanks for joining us. We know you're really busy. What is the latest out of Cullman this evening?
I'm actually the public information officer, and currently we have That's okay. We have widespread damage across the county. Some trailer parks have been affected. We have some people trapped in their residence and things like that. One thing I want to clear up, though, is our hospital did not take a hit. Our hospital has not been affected as far as damage to their facility. I know that's out there, and I just wanted to clear that part up. But we do have widespread damage, and we're preparing for this next cell that's coming into the southern part of our county.
Yeah, hey, Christy, I think people have been showing some pictures there. Are you guys doing some construction or something, maybe? Or an addition?
I'm not aware of any of that. There is construction
that has
been ongoing on our hospital. But it's the hospital.
Well, that's good to know. Maybe that's what they're looking at, is what I'm trying to say. What about any injuries or anything like that going on?
We do have injuries, but as far as the extent, we're still getting crews out to people and getting them to the proper facilities. We have lots of mutual aid coming into our county, and so right now we're just in the process of getting things taken care of.
Christy, can you tell me how many people you know that are injured this evening?
We do not have a confirmed total yet. We're like I said, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to just make sure I get these questions out, because I know our time is limited. But are these people, there were people trapped in their homes? Because I do understand there's a lot of structural damage.
Yes, sir. We do have people in the residence that are trapped, and we have got crews dispatched to get them out.
All right, Christy, we appreciate that. Christy Johnson, the Public Information Officer in Cullman County. We appreciate that. Again, Hackleburg, another area hit here in northern Marion County. Let's go to Dr. Forbes. Forbes, I know you're focused on Tuscaloosa and Birmingham right now. I totally understand that. But let's talk about any threats for these areas. She mentioned another cell potentially heading toward Cullman. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true, and also not very far away from the Huntsville area, and there's still a line behind that. Starkville, Mississippi has a supercell very close to it as well. I have Carl Parker here with me, and he's keeping track of the tornado emergencies. Let's take a look at some of the storms here. About 1 hour now southwest of Jeff Marrow is a tornado that's bearing down on Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We've had reports of sighting of the tornado with that. It still has very strong rotation on that. In fact, there's a tornado emergency and there you see the tornado vortex signature, may pass just about a mile southwest of downtown Tuscaloosa. Tornado emergency for Ralph Foster's, Taylorsville, and to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's within 5 minutes now of the south side of Tuscaloosa. Up in the very top here, to the north and west of Birmingham, still a debris ball on this storm. We've had a large tornado reported near Cordova. That is heading near the Warrior and Oneonta areas now of northern Alabama. Now taking a look at the area near Huntsville, very close to Huntsville now, very well-defined hook echo, going to go just a couple of miles to the north of Madison, Alabama, and then probably about 5 miles north of Huntsville. Very dangerous tornado there. This one too has had, as I recall, a sighted tornado. Has a very dangerous tornado vortex signature. Reds going west, greens going eastbound with that one as well. And I mentioned Starkville, Alabama. Taking a look over there, it's not rotating as strongly as some of the others, but east of Starkville heading toward Columbus. Yet another line of storms trying to form, probably on the cold front, heading off into Alabama one more time. Stay safe. Tornado emergency, Carl, for both Huntsville and Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, it looks very serious right now in Tuscaloosa. We've got a big old ball that's coming right to downtown, possibly the University of Alabama as well. Tornado emergency also for Huntsville, for Madison County. We're getting a report now from Madison County of people trapped, a Piggly Wiggly grocery store damaged there. So some very serious damage in that area.
Yeah, and here is Tuscaloosa. So we have indicated here a very strong tornado vortex signature coming right toward the Tuscaloosa area. It's just updated there. Oh boy, we have a debris ball. There's one of these debris balls that we've been talking about, and extremely strong damage is being done in Tuscaloosa at this time by a very strong tornado with debris being indicated on radar. Extremely dangerous situation. Let me zoom in, see if we can get any additional details on the exact location. It is pretty much right over, maybe about 1 mile south of the center of downtown Tuscaloosa, heading off toward the east-northeast at about 50 miles per hour. Extremely dangerous, life-threatening situation there. The size of the vortex signature here is very strong. I have winds here that are, oh wow. This just on the raw radar The greens there are about 105 miles per hour. Then I have some winds here that are about 70 miles per hour. So just a huge circulation that's being indicated by this. And a distance across from about here to there is a distance of about 1.5 miles. So we have a potentially very wide tornado and or basically a whole rotating wall cloud on the ground.
Greg, the University of Alabama is on the east side of Tuscaloosa. It looks like it's going to go right over that area. Folks, you need to take cover immediately in this case. This is a very, very dangerous situation. Don't go outside and try to figure out what's going on. Take cover right now there in Tuscaloosa, Greg.
And in the Huntsville area, here is Huntsville. We have tornadoes reported with this one also, tornado emergency for Huntsville. The hook echo right there, tornado being indicated by this one. Again, we'll see a tornado vortex signature that is in progress. That is going to be heading just to the north side of Huntsville. Again, a very, very dangerous situation. One of many violent tornadoes that appear to be in progress or have occurred already across the northern half of Alabama and parts of Mississippi this afternoon.
And again, there's a tornado emergency for Madison County. That cell is moving northeast at 55 miles an hour. Heads up there in Huntsville, Meridianville, and Moores Mill as well. These cells are really, really moving, folks. 55 miles an hour is not going to give you a lot of time to react. So it's time now to get into your basement, the lowest floor of your house, away from the windows, and put as many walls between yourself and the outside as you possibly can. Greg, what do we have in Tuscaloosa?
Just going back and waiting for the next update on the radar at Tuscaloosa. In the meantime, I thought I would take a slice through this storm. I'll do it live while you watch. Well, I think you can see the tornado, can't you? There is the tornado coming right up across there. Debris going up 10,000 feet into the air from this tornado. If I can take here and put the storm relative velocities on it, we'll see that probably will pop up here. We can see the greens on one side, the reds on the other side.
We're just getting word that it's being picked up near the University of Alabama right now. So apparently it's on the grounds there, just beginning to come into the University of Alabama.
Tornado is in progress with a debris ball, confirmed tornado, sighted tornado. We can also confirm it on the Doppler radar coming across Tuscaloosa. The University of Alabama.
University of Alabama is now seeing that on there. There's a camera that is on campus, and they are now seeing that tornado in their field of view. So it's now coming at least towards the University of Alabama, if not into the University of Alabama. So now is the time, folks, to take shelter.
And zooming out just a little bit, that tornado will be heading toward the Brookwood area, and ultimately it's going to head within less than an hour now toward the Birmingham area. So very, very dangerous situation. Extremely strong rotation showing up on the Doppler radar, confirmed sighting, confirmed debris by this tornado on the radar. Everything that is a nightmare scenario for a highly populated area, Tuscaloosa. Anywhere there on the east side, the entire Tuscaloosa metro area, and then if you live between Tuscaloosa and Brookwood, you need to be seeking shelter in the lowest innermost portion of a sturdy building. Try to get under some heavy furniture, under a stairwell. Put a bicycle helmet on, a motorcycle helmet on, protect yourself. Many of the fatalities in tornadoes are from flying and falling debris, head injuries. So do whatever you can to try to protect your head.
This is where you really hope that people have been aware, that they've been following the weather, because this is about as serious as it gets, Greg.
Yeah, this is an extremely dangerous situation. We have had particularly dangerous situation tornado watches issued by the Storm Prediction Center. We've had 9 up to 10 on our tornado condition index. It's a guaranteed there that there's tornadoes within 50 miles of you. Of course, these tornadoes are one or sometimes a little bit wider swaths than that, so not everyone gets a tornado, but you need to be taking shelter just in case it is coming exactly toward your area. You can see here, if I draw on here, that the tornado actually will be carving out a swath about this wide at most, and so some places like Coling here will not be hit, Vance will not be hit, but there is a swath that gets hit by the tornado or the associated nearby very damaging wind. So this is a dangerous situation.
Right there.
Yeah, University of Alabama we know is being hit, and we continue to monitor a debris ball.
Greg, we got a new update on the radar now. It's moved a little farther east.
Just moved slightly to the northeast. We're still seeing the extremely strong tornado vortex signature. If we go back a few steps, we had the debris ball. It intensified, unfortunately, as it came into Tuscaloosa, began to pick up some debris there, showing a debris ball, but it has had pretty strong rotation, even there about 15 minutes ago. If I go back a few more steps in time, still had very strong rotation as it approached. And we've been saying for minutes and minutes and tens and 20s of minutes that the storm was heading this way, and unfortunately it has not weakened. If anything, it has strengthened as it's come into the area. Continues to head across the area now, just slightly to the east-northeast of Tuscaloosa, heading toward the Brookwood area in general.
Greg, we just got a report that it was 6 minutes ago. It was near the McFarland Mall in the Tuscaloosa area. Obviously, that is a very well-defined debris ball. This is really just awful news, isn't it, Greg?
Yes, it's very terrible. The width of that lavender, that pink there itself, is about 1 mile wide. So this is an extremely large tornado by all indications. Let's take a slice through this again and see what we can see in terms of this tornado. Normally the tornadoes lean a little bit toward the north and east in their direction of movement, so I'm going to take the slice that way. And again, no doubt about it, this is the tornado, and its debris being picked up to at least 8,000 feet high. It's casting debris, so it is doing extensive damage, unfortunately, in all likelihood. And right along that is where we're seeing the counterclockwise rotating winds. In this case, the red would be into the screen, green out of the screen, rotating counterclockwise, left to right in front of you. And a dangerous tornado in progress in the Tuscaloosa metro area.
It really just hurts your heart to think about what is likely to have happened there in Tuscaloosa. Greg, we don't want to forget about Huntsville either. A tornado emergency there in the Huntsville area. That cell moving northeast 55 miles an hour. Again, there has been a report of people trapped. A Piggly Wiggly grocery store damaged. Not sure if they were trapped in that grocery store or not. A gas station apparently leveled there. This is just southeast of Harvest in Madison County, not far from Huntsville.
Yeah, here is the Huntsville radar. We're a little bit north of Huntsville. Huntsville is here. The circulation is strongest in this area. It is not showing one of these debris balls, but the bad news is we still have yet another storm on its heels that will this one may come even closer. The main body of the storm here is right over Athens, Alabama. You see a bit of a donut here north of Decatur. That too will head more or less along the same way. It may tend to go a mile or two farther to the south in the track than the previous one. It has a very strong rotation signature on that, so it is going to also go close to and just north of Madison, probably just to the north of downtown Huntsville. A dangerous pair of storms rolling across northern Alabama.
Greg, the thing we notice with these storms is that they are in and out of there very quickly, so it's not a very long-lived event, but certainly is an awful one.
Yeah, certainly in this case, with the storms moving just a little bit under 60 miles per hour and with the debris ball there being about a mile wide, you could actually have tornado winds that may last almost a minute with southeast winds and then northwest winds coming in behind that, depending on whether you're hit right in the heart of the tornado. If you're right in the south edge, you would see sort of southeast winds shifting around to northwest winds. A terrible situation taking place there. It has moved now just to the east of Tuscaloosa as we continue to get updates. The center of the Tuscaloosa is right there, so the debris ball now is located about 4 miles due east of Tuscaloosa and heading generally toward the Brookwood area. Off toward the east-northeast of Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Greg, we want to get over to Mark Elliott in the Digital Media Center. He's got a picture of this tornado in that area. Hey, Mark.
Yeah, I'm monitoring Twitter, and just now coming across from Twitter user Paige Wills, wanted to show you this image from the Tuscaloosa area. It looks like there's apartments or dorms right there, and directly behind it is this huge wedge tornado. So here's confirmation on a Twitter picture of what you guys are talking about. Dangerous situation. Back to you guys.
Oh, Mark, I tell you that it's really upsetting to see this because we know seeing that debris ball, seeing what we've seen on radar, looking at the visual evidence right there, we know that something terrible has happened in the Tuscaloosa area.
Yeah, big wedge tornado we saw, and here tornado emergency for it's near the Deer Lick Creek campgrounds. Tornado emergency for Brookwood and Abernant areas now. And I've been mentioning Brookwood, so these are areas just off to the northeast or east-northeast of the Tuscaloosa area. And this is probably going to head pretty close to Birmingham, about 45 minutes from now, maybe the Hoover area. As it's going right now, these storms rotate this quickly. They tend to go a little bit to the right, so maybe the Hoover area, but we'll continue to monitor the entire Birmingham metro area to see if the storm makes a left turn or a little bit of a right turn, depending on how fast or if it would slow down in its rotation.
Greg, we were going to talk to the mayor of Tuscaloosa. I'm not sure if he's there right now, but he apparently had the tornado come right overhead. Is he on the phone right now?
Yes. Hello?
Okay. Tell us what's going on there.
So right now we're trying to assess the damage. It knocked out a couple of key centers, including our Emergency Management Association. It came right over our police department and City Hall. We're operating on generator now. We're in damage assessment mode, trying to get the data to begin responding.
It looked like this storm came very close to the University of Alabama. Was that the case, as far as you know?
It came south of City Hall, where I am now, about 2 blocks south. So if it went on that path, it would have touched the university campus. We've been able, just in the last 5 to 10 minutes, to restore communications. In fact, your network was the first call into our system when it came back up. So right now we're just in damage assessment mode, and we're still reeling from April 15th. So we've got a lot of work to do to make sure our citizens are safe.
Okay, Mayor Walter Maddox, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, have got a big job ahead of them right now, and some very scary moments there.
Based upon the debris ball we've been seeing, we estimated that the tornado might be a mile wide. Certainly that big wedge tornado that we saw in video suggests that. Chasers also estimating a mile wide. I put the radar to work here just about 3,000 feet above ground, so we're not right down at the surface, but I have 155-mile-per-hour winds measured in this bright green area on the south side of the tornado at this location now, about halfway between Tuscaloosa and the Brookwood area, and still continuing to see that huge pinkish lavender debris ball that's about a mile wide now, racing at about 55 miles per hour off toward the east-northeast, generally toward the Brookwood area.
We just got a report that the tornado traveled just to the south of Bryant-Denny Stadium at the University of Alabama, and the power is out now at the U of A, so that's the latest from them. We don't know of any damage there, but again, we did hear from the mayor moments ago, and they have taken significant damage to the City Hall there, and now just beginning to get their generators online, so they start to assess the damage and try to get out and help everybody there.
Yeah, very, very dangerous situation as we continue to track a tornado that has hit Tuscaloosa, hit the University of Alabama, and is continuing to roll its way with confirmed tornado, sighted tornado. We can confirm it based on the debris that's casting. The red tornado vortex signature winds perhaps at least above the ground, well over 150 miles per hour, heading generally toward the Brookwood area, heading then generally toward the Lakeview, the North Johnson area, and then gradually working its way toward North Johns area, then heading its way toward the Bessemer area of Alabama. That's part of the Birmingham suburbs, and then heading its way toward the Hoover area. So dangerous storm heading for the southwest and south sides of Birmingham.
Greg, I think we have a look now at the population in this area. There's a look at the University of Alabama. There's the McFarland Mall. We did get a report of the tornado on the ground along Highway 82 near the McFarland Mall, so it appears that's the highway that's running right through the McFarland Mall right there, that area, and then passing just to the south of the University of Alabama. So it looks like it may have passed to the south of downtown Tuscaloosa, but still obviously a highly populated area. You can see the densely populated, well-packed streets right there. So this is an area that has taken a terrible hit, and again, a huge debris ball indicating that there was an awful lot of damage, Greg.
Yeah, so we'll take that debris ball back. We'll step backwards in the radar from its current location, which is about 11 or 12 miles east-northeast of Tuscaloosa. We'll go back 5 minutes at a time. There it was closer. There it was just due east of downtown Tuscaloosa. And here, just as you say, its location about 2 miles southeast of downtown Tuscaloosa. And then a step farther back, this was a location about 5 miles southwest of downtown Tuscaloosa. So it is definitely, you see there, it intensified, unfortunately, as it came into Tuscaloosa, and it's continuing to be extremely intense now, heading toward an area just to the west-northwest, and ultimately will go just north of the Brookwood area. Dangerous, dangerous storm in progress, large tornado, violent tornado in all likelihood.
All right, so Greg, if this thing does hold together, where is it going to go with respect to the Birmingham area? Which side of the Birmingham area?
Well, we've seen it roll across approximately like this, and so I'll put a marker there. So it is heading right about this area, just to the south of Birmingham, heading toward the Hoover, the Homewood area, just to the south of Birmingham. So that would be, let me put a marker here and measure roughly 6 or 7 miles south of downtown Birmingham in the Homewood, Hoover, Bessemer subdivision areas, unless it takes a bit of a turn to the right. But certainly North Johns, Lakeview, just north of Brookwood, and then the Hoover area are places that we have a big threat of this tornado moving.
And what kind of timing are we talking about in Birmingham, Greg?
Birmingham area, it's probably going to be about 45 minutes, right located about this location at this time. It's going to, that's about 30 miles. And so at the rate that it's moving, this would be about 45 minutes to the south side of Birmingham.
All right, we want to go to Mark Elliott right now. He's in the Digital Media Center with another picture of this tornado. Yes, Mark?
Yeah, they continue to just stream through. Lots of people in that area, of course, so lots of people with cameras at the ready. Let me show you some of the views that we're seeing. This is the one we showed you just a couple of minutes ago now, right on through the Tuscaloosa area with houses and that huge wedge. A couple of different views coming in now. This one from Twitter user Wumstick, just crossing through the trees in the distance. There's that wedge just starting to show up onto the screen. And how about this one? We've got going past some lofts in downtown Tuscaloosa, this classic tornado wedge shape coming just past the buildings. So this is definitely a scary situation right here, and again, confirmed on radar by you guys. So what are you seeing now?
You know, Mark, unfortunately, we are looking at another storm in the wake of the one that just came through the Tuscaloosa area, Greg.
Yeah, unfortunately, often these storms, because they have rain-cooled air and hail-cooled air that wraps around it, they'll put out a boundary, a miniature cold front. So even as this first tornado heads off to the east-northeast of Tuscaloosa, on its flanks, a flanking storm has formed with a circulation just to the east of Coker that would head off to the north side of Tuscaloosa unless it runs on the boundary and makes a right turn. This one is not rotating as strongly by any means as the lead storm, but right there you have the tornadic storm that we've been tracking that went across Tuscaloosa. There is some rotation showing up in the area northwest of Tuscaloosa and east of the Coker area, so very, very dangerous situation. Not out of the woods yet in terms of the storms. Could be another one coming through another area of Tuscaloosa.
Yes, absolutely.
The heading where taking a look here where the storms are heading. Right at the moment, the storm is off toward the west-northwest of the Brookwood area and moving off toward the east-northeast, generally toward the North Johns area with a very defined debris ball, that lavender debris being picked up by the tornado, tossed into the air. It's a lot stronger return from that debris than you will get from rain. It's more like hail, but this is not a hail location. And so I'm going to again take a slice through the storm, see if we can track the tornado. This would be the tornado coming right up in here. There would be the tornado circulation, that lavender debris ball heading right up, angling its way. Often the tornadoes at low levels will lag a little bit behind these fast-moving thunderstorms that are going 55 miles per hour. The tornado may lean forward a little bit, and that gets a little bit exaggerated here in our portrayal, but that would be shown as this tilt of the tornado leaning off toward the northeast.
Greg, we've also got tornadoes in Huntsville, Alabama, or near there, and also Meridian, Mississippi. Let's take a look at those, can we?
Yeah, we definitely will take a look there. Here is the view out of Huntsville. Off to the north of Huntsville here. Here's Huntsville. So up to the north, one hook echo. Farther off to the west of Huntsville, another hook echo with a well-defined donut on that heading toward the Madison area. And so dangerous storms are in progress in this area. Let's take a look at the velocities with this. Very well-defined vortex signatures, not as strong as the one we're seeing near Tuscaloosa, but the red and green here, just a few miles to the north of Huntsville. Another red and green couplet going to go just south of Athens, more or less heading on the same path, running along that same boundary. North and west of the Huntsville area.
And how about Meridian, Mississippi? Tornado down that area as well?
All right, we'll do a little bit of roaming here in the radar, see if I can navigate to the Meridian, Mississippi area. I'll use the Jackson radar in that case for that one. And let us see here if I can find Meridian, Mississippi. Yeah, there's Meridian. All right, let's zoom in on that one. Several supercell thunderstorms rolling across east central parts of Mississippi right now. With pretty well-defined hooks on them. Not as strong a rotation as we're seeing with the storm that's gone through Tuscaloosa. Zoom in one more time. And the strongest of these, not very far to the west of Meridian, Mississippi. It's a little bit perhaps embedded in rain. Here is Meridian. Right in here is where that tornado vortex signature is showing up. And so the storm relative velocities there, right about where I put my red marker, my blue marker right at the tip there is greens going westbound, reds going eastbound. And so that location is, and it's heading just to Meridian or just to the north. That's a location that's about 15, 16 miles west of Meridian at this time, likely to go to a location probably about 3 to 4 miles north of downtown Meridian, Mississippi. So another very dangerous tornado. And yet again, a series of storms with rotation all along this area, with one storm, another storm, and yet a third storm down the line here. This one, of course, will go a lot farther south. That one will go south of Meridian, Mississippi.
And Greg, we want to remind people once again that these storms are moving so quickly. They're moving at between 50 and 60 miles an hour. That is not going to give you time to go outside and to look around and see if a tornado is coming. If you get a tornado warning, you need to take that very seriously and take cover immediately, please, folks, because these storms are moving so fast across this region right now. Greg?
Yeah, we've had an update, and the newest scan has come in for the tornado that has hit the Tuscaloosa metro area. Here it is now just to the north of Brookwood. You can see that the size of the debris ball has gone down a little bit. That doesn't necessarily mean the tornado is weakened any. That may mean that it's moving over the kind of terrain that doesn't have as many buildings. It certainly has not shown much weakening in terms of its velocities. You still see an extreme rotation showing up on here. I'm scanning here. I'm still seeing some velocities that are, there's 116 knots, so that's pretty close to 135 miles per hour showing up still in this tornado just now about 3 miles north of Brookwood, heading off toward the North Johns area, just to the north of Lakeview, as it continues off toward the area between Tuscaloosa and the Birmingham area. So dangerous storm there.
Greg, on top of this, there's actually a tornado apparently near Quantico, Virginia right now. I think we've got another source for that, and we'll get the latest on that for you in just a second. Do we have that up? Do we have that information up right now? Okay, it's coming up. There it is. There's a look at the tornado there. Greg, same thing right here. You've got a very well-developed supercell here, if you can look at it on the monitor there, and that now coming through the southeast parts of Virginia and actually into this tornado alley in southern parts of Maryland. We've gotten many tornadoes around La Plata, Charles County, Maryland, and it looks like another one coming in right now.
Yeah, there does tend to be just to the lee or just to the east side of the foothills there of the Appalachians. We definitely have a broad, at least mesocyclone, a wall clouds, thunderstorm rotating updraft size rotation coming toward Indian Head. That will then head toward Piscataway. Alexandria, Virginia is a south suburb of Washington, D.C. So we're talking about south of Washington, D.C., Piscataway, Rosaryville, with a hook echo there in Virginia.
All right, let's get out to Jeff Marrow right now. He's been covering the storms in the field. Jeff, what do you have for us?
All right, the tornado sirens, I don't know if you can hear them in the background here. I'm going to stop talking for a second. That's the tornado sirens out here in Birmingham. They're all across the city. We can hear them. And the rain, the heavier rain is now starting to come in. I've had to change my shot. We have the camera in a secure location. And if we can pan up just a little bit, you can see some of the gray clouds coming in. It's about to rain really hard here, I think, very shortly. Heavy rain is already overspreading the city. In fact, the wind's really picking up here now. I'm kind of looking around. We've had some lightning flashes. Tornado sirens coming back down, but again, that cell is headed right toward us. We may have to put the dish down on our satellite truck here, so we'll try to keep you updated here from Birmingham, but the weather really has gone downhill here in just the last 15 minutes.
Jeff, I think you've got about 30 minutes before that cell gets in there, so hopefully you've got a place to get to quickly.
Yeah, we've got a pretty secure location here. I mean, it's a pretty solid brick building. We are up on top of a hill, and it has been very windy. But believe me, if it starts going downhill, we'll get inside very quickly.
All right, Jeff Marrow reporting live for us in Birmingham. And Greg, that storm's not very far away.
No, indeed, it is not. We have continued to update now. The tornado is off to the north and east of Brookwood. You can see that it's heading toward the North Johns area, heading toward Bessemer and the Hoover areas. Those are south and southwest suburbs of Birmingham, Alabama. So dangerous storm, continues to have a debris ball. Tornado is still in progress, heading toward the south suburbs of Birmingham, Alabama. It has hit Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You need to be taking shelter if you're in its path.
It's tough to ride
right over Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, it really is frustrating. What you have to do is hope you're saving lives. We can't get too emotionally involved, but seeing those debris balls come right toward Tuscaloosa, I've seen it before for Yazoo City. I've seen it a number of times just this month. You hope you save some lives by telling people so urgently that the tornado is heading that way. Take a look at the big picture here. We just have huge numbers of tornado warnings, supercell tornadoes, supercell thunderstorms with tornadoes. Each one of these red represents one of those storms with a storm-based tornado warning on it, all the way from east central Mississippi up into areas south of Birmingham, and then all the way up to near Huntsville, over into the Chattanooga areas and areas to the east of that. So a big clustering. It's an area where we added a Torcon of 10 on our Viz 700 this afternoon. That's the first time in history that we have done that. And so there you see, we had previously had 9s. We had previously had a greatest threat, our highest risk area there in the whitish shading. And we went then basically a guarantee that there's tornado within 50 miles of you, northern parts of Alabama, and they're still in progress.
Greg, you know, every severe weather event's got a curve in terms of intensity, as a beginning and a middle and an end. It seems that this has only been getting worse since we've been on the air.
Yeah, it is. It's getting more compact now. The one thing that we can hope is that we're getting so many storms rolling over more or less the same areas now that they'll begin to rain cool. The leading edge will begin to rain cool the area, and the trailing storms will not be as strong. But you see here we have one line, a second line, and then this third line here is the cold front. So that is the final straw. Once it comes through, you get into drier, cooler air, and the situation then, the threat is over. But that cannot come fast enough. And by the way, all of these greens, those are flash flood warnings. So with so many storms rolling along the same area, we're getting saturated ground and flash flooding and another crisis. Go to graphics 15. A new video coming in, and then we'll do an update on the location of the Tuscaloosa tornado. There we have, you see a tornado that is just rolling across. Where was this, from Tuscaloosa?
This is northern Alabama. Tuscaloosa is what we're looking at. Look at that. That is an incredibly large and powerful tornado, Greg.
And this is not time-lapse. This is real-time video, as I understand. So you can see the rotation, the speed of the counterclockwise rotation there. And so, as we had been saying, I had been seeing some winds, perhaps 155 miles per hour in the Doppler radar, if not faster, because that was aloft, and that's certainly suggestive there. A cone-type tornado, a wedge tornado, very large tornado rolling across. With the movement there from right to left, this would have been taken a little bit from a position north of the tornado as the tornado moved off northeastbound. So dangerous situation.
And what's so incredible about this is that we saw so many of the reports of these large wedge tornadoes. It wasn't just one or two. It might have been a dozen or a couple of dozen today.
Yeah, too many. I've lost count, but there have just been huge numbers of these lavender debris balls on radar, indicative of how debris being tossed up into the air and giving a much stronger return than would just rain have given if it was rain-wrapped tornado or cloud material.
And Greg, we've also had some tornadoes well off to the north as well, getting up into the D.C. area almost, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we had a tornado near Quantico, Virginia, I believe it was, heading toward the south, area south and east of Washington, D.C. So it certainly was not here. We've had tornado warnings. And actually tornado in Missouri. We had we still have tornado warnings in western Kentucky, parts of southern Illinois, and across middle parts of Tennessee. So it has been a widespread severe weather threat today, and continues.
And we're back into this video now from Tuscaloosa. And Greg, oftentimes when you've got a large wedge tornado like this, they will break down into multiple vortices. And because they're passing along with different wind directions again and again, those individual vortices, it causes a tremendous amount of destruction.
Yeah, and we saw that in the tornado that was coming into Cullman, Alabama. That storm then went just south, finally, of Chattanooga, Tennessee. It had multiple funnels in. They have their own rotation as well as revolving about the parent tornado. And so as a consequence, they add to the total wind field. So if you get hit by one of them, you get a stronger wind than if you were just inside the parent tornado or in one of the areas that got missed by these multiple funnels. We call those suction vortices. They have their own low pressure. They have their own wind circulation. They cause the worst damage.
How quickly that's going to happen. It doesn't look like it's weakening at all.
No, it's not weakened at all. It has still showing this debris ball. It's heading toward the Hueytown area, heading toward the Homewood area. So not very many miles to the south of downtown Birmingham, and certainly some of those south suburbs as it continues to run east. Let me scoot so we can Tuscaloosa at the left edge of the is right, maybe a bit more left. It's going to the next half hour for sure.
And it's up to you right now. Moment fall out of the sky right in front.
And this appears talking 18 miles ahead of now out of the sky.
Right now, what's it look like?
Yeah, you're right, Carl. That is falling out. It's the same storm that hit Tuscaloosa. We've been watching it for about 5-10 minutes. Debris, fairly large debris at times, are actually falling out of the storm in front of us. It's I've never seen it.
So, Jeff, what's on there, right? Are they taking cover, doing what we hope they do?
Have been going off on and off here last about half hour to 45 minutes. Whoa, there was a flash just off to the left here. Your question, there are some cars. I'm looking down at Birmingham now. There are some cars on the road, but there aren't very many. From what I can tell, there are a few people out there for the debris falling. Greg, I've seen this. Things are falling out.
But not 17 miles away. I've heard it fall a mile ahead of the tornado or a couple miles indicating of this month, long distance. I can perhaps split screen because I've taken a slice through from the debris ball up into the Birmingham area. I don't know if we're going to be able to show that or going to show that. Okay, so we're on the picture from the live downtown Birmingham. The storm has the tornado we can slice through. Then see that once it gets picked up, gets carried by those strong winds and was into the Birmingham area of the winds today.
So this is not a very common phenomenon. What is this most indicative of? Is it the strength of the upper level wind, the strength of the updraft, the amount of debris it picked together?
Well, I think it must be all those things combined. We must have a very strong tornado upward motion to be able to pick up big pieces of debris. And it's a size sorting also. So sure what is falling, but we reports of paper items, for example, be tossed 100 miles. They fall 4 miles away from where the tornado had hit. Checks that have come from a tornado hit city 100, 150 miles. But pieces, the bigger it is, the shorter it typically falls. So not quite sure at this point what exactly is falling there, but the big stuff tends not to go as far.
Maybe we can about that. A moment ago, he's still looking up into the sky. Jeff, have you been able to determine that is falling out of the sky?
Well, we're looking at a pretty big piece. I don't know that we can see that. Can you see that at all? It's, well, now it's farther away, but it's, I would say, guys, I'm going to draw you about that, maybe about that big. That's, I mean, but it's hard to tell from here. But it's not huge pieces of like of wood or brick or anything that like shingles or large of corrugated metal or something like that falling here. But they're not huge pieces. It slowed down a little bit now, but another big down.
Yeah, that are relatively flat, like shingles or pieces of roof or metal. Those can, they have a relatively thin and they're relatively flat. Those have sort of a hover. They can get suspended easier and with the wind a little bit easier than if it was a big solid something like a concrete block that would not go very high or go very far.
So what are we thinking about now in terms of timing? Are we down to about 25 minutes right now?
Yeah, I would say it's probably less than 20 minutes at this point. I walk back over and have a look. So we're
and Greg, still a very fine circulation with Supercell.
Yeah, right now the tornado is about 19 miles southwest of Birmingham, so it's moving. That's about 20 minutes, something like that.
That's okay. And we've also got tornado warnings now in a number of other places. Traumatic cells still continue to roll across much of northern Alabama.
There's
it's been an off. There again, we're looking at another piece of debris falling out of, and just something that we do not see a whole lot of, Greg.
No, not indeed. And that was whatever that was. It was a pretty big chunk. That was not a check or a piece of paper. It was a black object. And as Jeff described, it was probably something about the size of 3 feet wide. So it may have been a big piece of shingle or something like that. A very large, well, relatively large piece of debris, but probably something that was relatively light and could get suspended airborne for a considerable distance.
Greg, we're looking at Storm Chaser video right now. I believe of a tornado. It's difficult to say because it almost looks like the wall cloud itself has lowered in that case. There's not a very clear wedge right there, but certainly there is a lowering, and it's a very wide one.
Yeah, and indeed, and the situation could be that sometimes these big wide tornadoes, and we've had estimates even from our own debris ball measurements that this is a mile wide, that you can get basically a whole transition from the rotating wall cloud, the rotating updraft of the storm. That just basically gets so intense that it becomes the tornado. So we may have that basically all the way onto the ground at this point. There's a little bit of an angling out there of the cloud at the left. And so I'm thinking that we're seeing some combination. I'm thinking we're probably seeing the wall cloud here, probably the tornado is embedded within it, but that wall cloud is so close to the ground that we can't distinguish the tornado from the rotating updraft of the storm that we call the wall cloud. That's the inflow that then goes into the updraft of the parent thunderstorm, and it rotates. These are supercell thunderstorms that are themselves rotating extremely fast today.
All right, we want to go back to Jeff Marrow, who is now in Birmingham, awaiting this supercell storm that has potentially devastated Tuscaloosa. Jeff, you've got a piece of this debris.
Yeah, there's a little piece of like plexiglass here. This isn't definitely the largest piece like what we saw falling out there. This is a smaller piece, also some smaller shingles. Whoa! Oh man, the lightning right now is getting spectacular just outside the window here. I don't know if you saw that flash, but there you can hear some of the thunder. But yeah, this is some of the smaller pieces that have been falling. These are shingles and this is plexiglass from whatever. But again, as Greg was mentioning, some of the pieces that were flipping out there a little bit farther away, they were a little bit bigger than this, and they could actually be a little bit hazardous falling out of the sky like that. But once again, I've never seen anything like that. But guys, the sky is turning kind of tinting green outside. I know Greg has talked about that in the past, and it looks like we're kind of getting into the worst of it. Wow, that is an amazing lightning flash out there. We'll try to set the camera here so maybe you can see some of that.
Greg, when you talk about that green tint, that refers to the hail core most likely in the storm.
Usually that's what the thought is. By the way, we're seeing the tornado now, reports seeing it from I-59 and I-20. Late in the afternoon when the sun is low in the sky, the sunlight tends to get a little bit yellowish. The natural color of water, as you know, is blue, so you combine the yellow and the blue and you get a bit of a greenish tint. The tornado continues to work its way toward the Birmingham area. We now also are being told that we have a particularly dangerous situation, tornado watch, has been issued for parts of Georgia. So these storms working their way across Alabama and will be working their way into Georgia.
We're just getting word now that the Birmingham radar is out. It is not updating as of 42 minutes after. It is not updating. My goodness. Wow. So that means that this storm is farther along than it appears on our radar. We're going to look into that for you. You're looking at live pictures right now out of Birmingham, Alabama. You can see that obviously the clouds have gotten a lot darker. We have gotten reports of debris falling out of the sky. That is related to this huge supercell thunderstorm that passed over Tuscaloosa, Alabama with a large wedge tornado, grabbed up a lot of debris. It was a terribly disheartening thing to witness. We saw this debris ball on the radar picture. We heard the reports. We've seen the pictures of this large wedge tornado, and now that debris is reaching Birmingham, and we fear that the tornado may reach Birmingham as well because this storm is generally taking aim on that region, Greg.
Well, I was just looking. As far as I could tell, the radar that we're showing here is up to date, and so I do not. We'll continue to monitor that.
We'll check into that.
We could have problems, but I think we're still seeing an accurate position. It's continued to move. It had been near North Johns. It is now past north and east of Hueytown and is heading actually probably maybe just a little bit north of downtown Birmingham, maybe more like the Tarrant City area. So
there's more of a northeast component in the movement right now.
It has definitely taken a slight turn to the left, or at least has not taken a turn to the right. Let me in fact put a little bit of a marker on here so we know it went across Tuscaloosa. We know it is now located there. So the direction that is moving is going to go slightly to the north of downtown Birmingham. If it keeps on its current path, it's heading toward the Tarrant City area. So just going to go a mile or two northwest of the center of downtown Birmingham.
And Greg, this is still now a very, very well-defined supercell thunderstorm, a very well-defined hook echo. It looks like there may even be some debris right in there. So you're still talking about an incredibly dangerous storm that is now heading towards Birmingham.
Well, yes, Carl, if anything, it has gotten more intense in the debris ball because before we were seeing lavender shades, now we're seeing white shades. So the debris has gotten even more intense that we're seeing, and the velocities are continuing to be very, very strong. Perhaps the velocities are not as strong, but it is picking up a lot of debris on the radar. I'm not seeing speeds as fast as I had been. That may be partly because I'm getting a little bit farther from the radar, but well, hopefully the tornado is weakening. There we've had one more update. The tornado continues to roll its way now. It looks as if it is going to pass just about 2 miles northwest of downtown Birmingham, heading down generally toward the Tarrant City area. It continues to be a very dangerous looking storm. Let's see if I can take a slice through here and find how high up the debris is going.
So, Greg, even if this storm is weakening right now, it's still going to carry that black cloud along with it for quite some time.
Well, it's definitely a tornado here. Based on the radar, it is still containing large amounts of debris.
Jeff has got the tornado right now. Let's go to Jeff Marrow live. Jeff?
Guys, can you hear me?
We hear you.
We got you.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we have the tornado, a big mass that you can see there in the background. A lot of lightning flashes around it. It looks like, Greg, the mesocyclone may be right down almost on the ground. It's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that's what we think, Jeff, that this has gotten basically so strong that the wall cloud is all the way to the ground and the tornado is embedded in it. The two have basically just merged into one big, strong, rotating storm.
So, Greg, you're talking about an incredibly wide area of potential damage there.
It looks like it's passing by just to our north. It looks like it's passing by just to the north of the city.
Yeah, that's what we were just calculating, that it looked like probably about 2 miles north of the center of downtown Birmingham, about halfway between downtown Birmingham and the Tarrant City area.
Now, Jeff, where are you relative to downtown?
I am just south of downtown on a large hill, or I guess you'd call it almost a mountain that overlooks the city. So we're actually looking north. The camera is actually looking to the northwest right now. So you're following this big black mass from left to right. So that would be from southwest to northeast across the metro Birmingham area. Again, it looks like it's just north.
We are just hearing now that there is a tornado emergency for Birmingham, Alabama. So, folks, Birmingham, on the north side of Birmingham, large wedge tornado is now making its way to the east very rapidly, probably about 50 miles an hour. It looks like it's going to pass to the north of downtown. Again, a tornado emergency now in effect for Birmingham, Alabama, Greg.
Yeah, and look how wide that is. It's filling the entire camera screen. So this is either one very, very large tornado or more likely a combination of just the whole rotating parent wall cloud, the rotating thunderstorm updraft basically on the ground with a tornado that's hidden inside of that. But either way, we're likely to get a damage path that may be more than a mile wide, perhaps several miles wide, with a combination of the rotating thunderstorm winds and the embedded tornado winds.
We've heard a lot about damage already, many reports of that. Any reason to believe that this is going to be a different situation, Greg?
No, it certainly looks like a dangerous situation. I'm not sure whether it's winds rotation-wise on the velocities that I'm getting by radar.
Transformer, yeah.
I think he's saying transformers are blowing, I believe.
There's some power flashes there, Jeff?
Guys. Yeah.
Jeff, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Now we're beginning to see the individual tornado embedded.
Yeah,
you can see a little bit of a lighter dark shade there. So the embedded tornado is now, the wall cloud, as it's gotten closer, you can see that it's up a little bit off the ground there, and the tornado is just to the left of that second tree there that's swaying on the left side of the picture.
Yeah, hopefully we can have the cameraman pan out just a little bit so we can get a full view of this tornado. There it is right there, and there, folks, is the tornado.
Yeah.
That is the tornado. And Jeff, just an awful sight there.
Okay. Yeah, guys, the power just went off on the north side of Birmingham there. I don't know if you saw it, but everything just went black on the north side of town.
All right, we lost Jeff again.
But that is
go ahead, Jeff.
It's an amazing, amazing. I was going to say the power has just gone out, the whole north back.
All right, we're having a hard time with Jeff's signal right now. There again is that tornado. Again, folks, I want to remind you, a tornado emergency is now in effect.
They're saying they're having a hard
Birmingham,
time.
Alabama. And we want you to take cover immediately, especially on the north side of town. We are looking past downtown, and we are looking out now towards the north and towards the west, and the storm is going to pass just to the north, most likely, of downtown, Greg.
Yeah, and our radar, we get scans in every 5 minutes, and so this is when it was about 5 minutes old now. This is about west-northwest of Birmingham. But in 5 minutes, it will have moved now so that it's almost due north of Birmingham. At this time, about 5 minutes ago, it was located about 5 miles west-northwest. So you allow for that to move in that subsequent time. and it has probably moved about that far. So that would put it probably, there it is, it's just updated. The tornado is located now right about 4 miles northwest of downtown Birmingham, heading directly toward the Tarrant City area. So a dangerous tornado still in progress, as you can see, and very strong Doppler velocities. A couplet still showing up on the radar, and a debris ball that I'll try to do some measurements of that to give us some idea of what we're seeing here. That ball is roughly, let's see, I made a mistake in the calculation. That ball is roughly 1.5 miles wide that we're seeing from the left edge of the red to the right side of the red. So the circulation with this about 1.5 miles wide. That's likely what we're seeing in the picture there. A very wide combination of tornado and rotating thunderstorm whose updraft is basically all the way to the ground.
All right, a large wedge tornado right now. A tornado emergency in effect for Birmingham. Want to get back out to Jeff live. Jeff, we see the wind picking up there right now. Are you hearing anything from that tornado?
No, we can't hear it from where we are. Basically, the wind is really howling outside here, so it's hard to pick up any kind of a sound from the actual tornado itself. I don't know if you can see in the picture, there are a lot of power flashes, a lot of transformers going, and the whole north side of Birmingham has gone black, so they've lost power there.
And Greg, we just heard that there's now a new hook echo on the west side.
Yeah, there is indeed another hook, that's right. But here, the tornado goes from here to there. You're seeing basically the prevailing cloud base, and then the combination of tornado wall cloud comes down and the tornado edge right about there. So not very much difference between the rotating updraft of the storm and the tornado. Over on this side, here is the wall cloud. You see the base, the prevailing cloud, the wall cloud, like a layer cake comes down, and then here is the tornado. So tornado from there to about there, probably about 1 mile or perhaps even 1.5 miles wide.
And Greg, we just got a very upsetting report. Extreme damage now being reported on the west side of Birmingham, West Birmingham. Extreme damage right now. So again, this is a tornado emergency for Birmingham, Alabama. Folks, please take cover immediately on the north side of town right now. This is a large wedge tornado, 1.5 miles in diameter. It is passing to the north at about 50 miles an hour. Again, extreme damage has been reported in Birmingham. Great.
And it's moving within minutes now, heading toward the Tarrant City area. So that is next in line with this very dangerous tornado. And at that point, then, it will continue beyond Tarrant City if it holds together toward the general area of Trussville. So Tarrant City, maybe the south portions of Fultondale, then toward the Trussville area. So dangerous, dangerous situation. We know we've had a long-lived tornado. We've seen that debris ball all the way from Tuscaloosa, now all the way into the Birmingham area. We know the tornado has been continuous for at least 20 miles. I think it's probably more like 30 miles, and now continuing to head into the areas north and east of Birmingham.
Greg, we are hearing now that spotters are reporting EF4, EF5 damage. Of course, that's difficult to say immediately after the fact, but certainly that wouldn't be unusual in this case.
No, certainly from the kind of extreme types of debris being cast about and the kind of extreme velocities we've seen on this, it certainly would not be surprised if this was a violent tornado up in the EF4 range or stronger. Of course, you have to know what kind of structure it was, how strong was it. The damage assessors will go out after the fact and evaluate that. So nevertheless, it's bad. We know we have extreme damage that has taken place.
And again, if you are just joining us right now, what you're looking at right now is a large wedge tornado, violent tornado. We've heard about extreme damage in Birmingham, Alabama. This is the same tornado that passed through Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We saw a huge debris ball when that occurred. We've been watching this wedge tornado for more than half an hour. It is now passing to the north of Birmingham, Alabama. That dark cloud right there not really revealing the ferocity of what's going on inside that tornado, but certainly, Greg, this thing is as strong as it's been.
Yeah, and it has now, we've gotten yet another radar update. It is now hitting Fultondale. It has made a little bit of a left turn. It's hitting Fultondale. Still strong, a velocity couplet there. And so it continues to head. It's going to go a bit to the north of the Trussville area as it has gone now from the west and north side of Birmingham to Fultondale, heading toward just the north of Trussville. So it is probably going to go about 4 miles to the north or northwest of Trussville as it continues along this path.
All right, Greg, we want to go now to Mark Kelly. He is with the Jefferson County Emergency Management. Mr. Kelly, just a terrible situation here tonight.
Well, it is. This tornado appears only to have picked up strength since it passed through Tuscaloosa about an hour or so ago, and we're getting just reports of some pretty extensive damage in the western part of the county. As you mentioned, it's just passing to the north of downtown, where our emergency operations center is. And it's not a good situation.
We've heard about extreme damage there in West Birmingham. Is that along with your reports as well?
It is. We have reports, of course, of power lines down, people trapped in houses, and various types of damage from wind and debris.
So, Mr. Kelly, for those that have experienced this tornado, what would you like to tell them? What do they need to do after this has gone through?
Well, I think we are fully prepared with road crews, with street crews, with our public works departments throughout the county to begin responding to this as soon as the tornado is through. As far as people in their homes, I think the best thing to do is if you escape unscathed tonight is probably to stay at home.
All right, Mark Kelly, Jefferson County, Alabama Emergency Management, talking about, again, a large wedge tornado, violent tornado, Greg, that has come through the Birmingham area, continues to now move through the Birmingham area, and has unfortunately...
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. It has caused extreme damage.
Yeah, and what you're seeing now on the camera from Jeff Morrow is pieces of tags of clouds that we call scud that are being lifted. We're seeing rain shafts here, so we're in the area, the rear flank downdraft area that is pushing around, wrapping around the south side of this supercell thunderstorm. Some of these are rising. They're humidified air that are rising up. But we do have farther off to the west, you can occasionally get funnel clouds out of these. This darker shaded area here above the high rise is likely to be a rather heavy rain shaft. But I should point out that there is another flanking storm that is off to the west of Birmingham. It's located just to the east of Mulga. That's about 12 or 13 miles off to the west. And so we're continuing to keep a track of that. It does not look at this point as if there's a tornado or any tornado signatures on that one. The tornado continues to be off toward now the north of Birmingham in the Fultondale area. But the camera is monitoring areas probably a little bit more to the west, monitoring these scud and seeing lots of lightning. There again, this is likely to be that next line of storms there that is coming in with some heavy rain and a little bit of low-hanging clouds in that direction. So that is the next sort of flanking storm on the southwest edge of the tornadic storm that has rolled across Birmingham.
Greg, we got a report from our weather producer Adam Dean of apparently buildings missing there in Birmingham. It's an incredible report.
Well, that certainly gets you into the thinking that it could be EF4 or, depending on the strength of it, EF5. So a scary situation by all means.
I wonder if we should take a moment to sort of back out of this and take a look at the larger picture and show you that there are still many, many tornado warnings now in effect across Tennessee as well as through northern Alabama. We've had some tornado warnings in southern parts of Virginia as well. Greg, what other storms can we take a look at right now?
Well, first, if we can, we'll take a look at the situation in north of Birmingham where we have now lost the debris ball. As it seems now the tornado there may be getting wrapped in rain off to the north of Tarrant City at this point.
So are we seeing weakening at this point then?
It looks like it's weakening. There's still a tornado vortex signature there. It's still a velocity signature, but it's lost its debris ball, and it's in the area that looks like it's getting embedded in rain. So the forecast may be that it will weaken, but we still would appear to have a tornado on the ground at this point.
And Greg, what would you expect in terms of the life cycle, how long a tornado like that could possibly last, or what typically happens?
Well, it's sometimes tornadoes like this will last about 45 minutes or will cycle with about a 45-minute time scale. And so it seems to me that we may be about at that end of the time scale. What seems to have happened is that perhaps this flanking storm is becoming the more dominant storm. We've had a little bit of a left turn of the tornado. Instead of hitting Tarrant City, it's gone up and made a left turn and hit Fultondale. And it seems now that the whole structure of the storm coming into the Birmingham area has given way to that flanking storm that is getting a hook on it, and oh my, is beginning to get some rotation on it as well.
Wow.
And so getting a bit more worried now on the storm that is still coming into Birmingham. It looks like it's going to take about the same path. The location of Birmingham is right there, so I'm worried about an area now that's about 5 miles northwest of Birmingham. That would be following a path, again, just about on the same path as the previous one took, somewhere toward the Tarrant City, Fultondale area, just to the north of Birmingham. So it is not as strongly rotating, but it is still, but it is definitely increasing. It's a sense of rotation coming again toward the Birmingham area. These storms have been generating one after another storms on their heels, or on their flanks, as I've been calling it, and tending to run along the boundaries of the rain-cooled air. These storms have big masses of rain and hail, the body of the storm, and then just down to the south of that, 2 or 3 miles, is where the tornado is. And the flanking storms and their tornadoes, or potential tornadoes, seem to be running just about along the edge of where the previous storm had been.
All right, if you're just joining us now, we have been watching large wedge tornadoes, violent tornadoes making their way across Alabama, parts of the Deep South in particular. One went through Tuscaloosa, Alabama, another. Actually, the same storm has come across the north side of Birmingham, may be weakening right now. I want to step back a little bit and take a look at the larger picture and show you that there are still many tornado warnings. Don't know, Adam, if we have a wider radar. Greg's got that for us right now. A wider radar showing how many tornado warnings are still in effect. And Greg, let's talk about some of the next areas that may be in jeopardy here. What is this going to do in the Atlanta area, for example? Chattanooga, will they see more severe weather?
Well, we still have 2 lines of storms coming across northern Alabama. One of them is off to the north of Gadsden and includes the storm that's over Birmingham. Then there's another line that's just to the west of the Huntsville area, over toward the east of Hamilton. The line that the leading line goes from around Birmingham down to the south and east of Tuscaloosa, back down into the Meridian, Mississippi area. So at the rate that these are going, we're probably talking, let me see, how far away is this? It's about 115 miles or so from the Atlanta area. So probably that's going to be maybe about 3 hours yet, I would guess, before it comes into the Atlanta metro area per se. But the first of the storms are going to go up into areas north of Rome, Georgia. Then we'll have some storms coming into, well, the Rome, Georgia area will be the first area, and areas northwest of Rome, Georgia will be the first areas that will get hit as these storms roll out of Alabama into northwest Georgia. Up in Tennessee, we continue to have storms down east of Athens, Tennessee, down into just west of the Chattanooga area, and then over into just across the border north of Huntsville. So a whole series of supercell thunderstorms in that area.
Greg, we're getting a bunch of warnings now in central parts of Virginia. Don't know if you have a radar of that as well. So it's not only been the southeast, of course, that's where the worst of the storms have been, but certainly we've been getting tornado warnings up into Virginia and up into North Carolina, even up now into the metro DC area as well.
Yeah, I do not have that pulled up. I'm pulling it up.
We're looking at the warnings right now, Greg. You can see a whole string of warnings. Obviously, a whole collection of warnings here from southern Tennessee down into Alabama. The atmosphere is still ripe for this type of thing. So we got very strong upper level wind and plenty of low level warmth and humidity. And so this tornado threat is likely to continue for some time. And again, it has extended farther northward now up into parts of North Carolina. And now looks like, Greg, into the DC area. We've got a tornado warning right now for Anne Arundel and Prince George's County, known to locals as PG County. That is the greater DC area. And we're watching out now around Andrews Air Force Base, Forestville, Coral Hills, Largo, and getting eventually towards Mitchellville and Bowie as well. That going until 7:45. So this is the DC area. Tornado warning for you. Doppler radar indicated. We've gotten no word as to whether there's been a spotted tornado in this case, Greg.
And I do have that up now on graphics 15. And as you say, just to the south and east of Washington, D.C., there are 2 supercell thunderstorms, the leading one of which has a tornado warning on it. Just to the south of District Heights and going to go off to just to the northwest of Upper Marlboro is one tornado warning. It has a Doppler tornado vortex signature on that. On its heels, a storm that has a well-defined hook echo you see wrapping around there. Not as strong a rotation, but some signs that it's trying to rotate. That would come up into the areas near Upper Marlboro. So the areas just to the south of Washington, D.C. Have also storms that are rotating, showing some pretty strong rotation.
Also, Greg, a new warning now into east central Mississippi for the city of Lauderdale. Lauderdale County law enforcement reporting a tornado near Marion, that moving east at about 50 miles an hour. So still active along the tail end of all of this activity.
Yeah, indeed. There's a tornado indicated close to the down to the southwest of Meridian in the area between Lewin and Stonewall that has a very well-defined hook echo and a very strong circulation there. And that may be the storm that you were just talking about. Up in the area closer in, we have storms off to the north and east of Meridian with some rotation on that one. And then farther up into Alabama, the area north of Demopolis, the Forkland area heading toward Greensboro, Alabama. Storm heading generally in the area towards Centerville, Alabama, and then back up into the area that we're seeing, the Birmingham area, with the storm that continues to show, but now has, in the last 5 minutes, has definitely shown a weakening of its tornado vortex signature. If I back up just one time step or two, you see, as it was at Fultondale, it had an extremely well-defined tornado vortex signature. We go 5 minutes after that, it weakened just a little bit off to just to the south of the E in Gardendale, and then going forward, we're losing some of that. So it's gotten up into the midst of the rain, seems to be weakening. An appendage now with the storm pushing right across into the Fultondale, the Tarrant City area, looking a little bit more like it is rain and downdraft dominated. There is Birmingham. Not getting a very strong tornado rotation showing up on this, but we'll continue to monitor that. There are some noisy couplets in here that may be real or may not be. Nothing that I can confirm as a tornado at this time, but certainly still yet one more round and a few more scary moments for places that just had a tornado there on the north side of Birmingham.
To get you up to date, folks, so we've had a terrible afternoon and evening so far here across parts of the deep south, mid-south in particular. There have been large wedge tornadoes, one of which passed pretty much right over Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We saw a large wedge in photos and also a debris ball there. That debris then saw a good 20 miles ahead of that storm rained out into Birmingham. Then the tornado itself passed over Birmingham. The west side of Birmingham hit very hard indeed. We've heard reports of extreme damage in West Birmingham. Some of the spotters indicating that it may be the equivalent of EF4 or EF5 damage. Buildings apparently have been flattened by this tornado in Birmingham. That storm has now weakened. There are still many rotating storms in northern Alabama and up into Tennessee. They'll be working into Georgia later today, and some storms also up into the D.C. area, D.C. metro area, and south central Virginia. What do you have for us, Greg?
Yeah, I've pulled up radar now out of East Tennessee. Multiple times today, Madisonville has had hook echoes and possible tornadoes go through. You see very strong spiraling to the tornado, to the storm there. Could be a tornado near the inn here in Madisonville, just to the east of Madisonville. Another supercell thunderstorm, possible tornado right at the end there, that little dot heading right toward Athens. That's where the University of Tennessee is located. So still a couple of very dangerous storms up in eastern parts of Tennessee. The eastern of those two has a very well-defined rotation. In fact, two well-defined rotations, one there near the O and the N in Madisonville, another a little bit farther to the south of that. So dangerous storms in a very, very dangerous day. Supercell thunderstorms, tornadoes just about everywhere, it seems. And in many cases, very strong supercell thunderstorms and very, very strong tornadoes.
Greg, we want to remind people that these storms have been moving very, very quickly. They're moving at 50, in some cases 60, even 70 miles an hour. Now, I think the tendency for a lot of folks is to, once there is a tornado warning, to go outside and to take a look at what's going on to try to figure out how serious the threat is. Today is not the day to do that. You just won't have the time. If you get a tornado warning, you need to get into the lowest level of your house, in interior room, put as much wall space, or not wall space, but as many walls between you and the outside as you possibly can, and get away from the windows. Please, please take these tornado warnings very seriously. We want to go back out to Jeff Marrow right now and see what's going on in Birmingham. Jeff, what do you have?
All right, we are definitely getting some of the cool outflow from the back of the thunderstorm. The rear flank downdraft was pretty strong through here. The winds have backed off a little bit now. The sirens went off again for a short time, but that has now kind of moved away. But I do have to tell you, we just got word from some of the folks here, ooh, almost lost my hat, that there is a massive damage swath here from the west side of town all the way across the north side of town. We're hearing almost a mile wide for the entire length there. Guys, it doesn't sound good. No reports of any injuries or anything like that at this point, but we're hearing about a lot of damage.
Jeff, we just got a report now that the total fatalities on this event, 32. 12 from Alabama, including 6 from the storms that moved through overnight, and 6 dead in Arab storms today. 11 reported dead in Arkansas, 9 dead in Mississippi. 250,000 people are now without power in Alabama. Hopefully, Jeff, things looking a little bit better there in Birmingham.
Yeah, we're gonna have an interview for you coming up here, guys, with one of the meteorologists here at the NBC affiliate. In fact, she's coming out right now. All right, this is kind of on the fly here, guys. So first of all, tell everybody exactly who you are, who you work for here.
Well, I'm meteorologist Harmony Mendoza. I work for WBTM. This is the NBC affiliate here. It's called Alabama's 13, and we've been basically tracking these storms since about 2 o'clock in the morning. So that was like the first line of storms we saw push through, and it basically clipped northwest Alabama and then moving into areas around Birmingham and northward. Now, these storms we see right now, we've been having to keep our eyes on radar basically minute by minute, because some of these tornadoes have just spawned out of nothing. And we're getting reports from Jefferson County emergency management agencies talking about buildings leveled, potentially F4 and F5, EF4 and EF5 damage right now. And most times they want to wait till they get the actual damage assessment before they make that kind of call. But when you see buildings leveled, that's pretty much a pretty good indication that we're talking about 200 in excess mile-per-hour winds.
So is the damage swath pretty much all the way from the southwest side of town, past the north side of town, and then on off to the northeast?
Exactly. And right now, what we're looking at right now on radar is potential redevelopment behind that storm. But right now, it looks like a lot of it is elevated, so it's trying to suck in that air. But you can feel it if you guys have been standing out here. That wind just trying to suck its way in to that storm system. But the damage reports we've got, it's not a friendly storm by no means. But this is not the only player in town. There's several different storm systems. This is just the one in downtown Birmingham. So our entire area is basically under the gun, at least until this evening.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. It doesn't look good here on the north side of Birmingham. As soon as we get some more information, we'll get back to you. All
right. Just an awful situation. And unfortunately, now we have more rotation in this area.
Yeah, indeed. The storm has gotten reorganized as that next flanking storm came in. It is reorganized as a tornado being reported around the Center Point area. That will be close to the Trussville area, heading toward Argo and Margaret. So the tornado signature that had weakened has definitely strengthened again. You see here another tornado vortex signature, tornado being reported around the Center Point area, heading off toward Trussville, heading toward Argo, Margaret. Dangerous tornado still there in the areas north and east of Birmingham. And a huge storm farther down to the south with a very strong hook echo. We're talking Centerville, getting close to Centerville, Alabama, with a well-defined tornado circulation over at the end of this hook echo. So dangerous storms continue to roll across areas. This one down to the south of Birmingham, as well as one now that is still very close and just to the northeast of Birmingham.
All right, well, Paul Goodlow and Crystal Egger have been following this incredibly stormy day, this major tornado outbreak as well. Let's check in with them right now.
All right, guys, what a scary evening. We continue to follow the developing story, of course, in Alabama. Tuscaloosa has taken a direct hit from a mile-wide tornado.
And we have the mayor of Tuscaloosa on the phone right now. And first of all, I know you've been extremely busy. Thanks for joining us tonight. Could you tell our viewers what has happened to your city tonight?
It's been devastating. I am out in the field right now. I've spent the last hour or so assessing some of the damaged areas. And let me say, it's devastating and in parts of our city, catastrophic.
Catastrophic. When you say catastrophic, are you talking about leveled buildings? Do you have any update on possible fatalities or injuries at this point?
We know of one fatality. I imagine there's going to be injuries. And when I see them say catastrophic, I mean we have parts of the city that have literally been obliterated.
And have you had any word on injuries or fatalities with this?
We know of one fatality. We know that the DCH, our local hospital here, is staffing up. I can't imagine a scenario where we will not have a number of injuries. Whether that results in fatalities will remain to be seen. We've also taken a devastated hit to our operations. Our EMA facility was hit hard. Our environmental services fleet, which is key in picking up debris, has been wiped out. So not only have we been hit, the resources that respond to this have been severely limited as well.
And Mayor Maddox, we understand 270,000 customers without power, and that number is expected to rise. So how can we get the word out? What do you want to tell people at this point so emergency crews can get out and do what they need to do?
Well, I think at this point we want our citizens to be patient and stay inside because we have a lot of people who are out trying to look at the damage, and that does nothing but complicate the rescue efforts that are ongoing. And to the people of the state of Alabama and the rest of this country, pray for us.
And Mayor, what about the University of Alabama? Any damage to the campus?
We were not able to get to the portions of the University of Alabama. It appears that they have received damage. I'm meeting with my command team at 7:30, and at that point I'll have a better assessment of exactly the extent. I heard your report about it being a mile wide, and I would have to say that is accurate. We have areas of the city that, for a mile wide, have been completely devastated.
Mayor, did you actually witness the storm? Could you tell us what it was like being there in Tuscaloosa today?
Yes, it was about 3 blocks from our office. We followed it in our command team through our various traffic cameras throughout the city. It was surreal. I mean, that's the only way I know to describe it.
And Mayor, we've been tracking severe weather all day long, especially all afternoon, and we're watching these storms heading into your town. Do you think residents had enough warning? Do you think they followed the advice and kind of went underground for safety?
Absolutely. The school systems did not even go to school today. Most public institutions and government offices released their employees early. I think that type of advance warning likely saved lives.
Oh, we absolutely hope so. Mayor Walter Maddox, we appreciate that update from Tuscaloosa, Alabama for us tonight. One area hit hard by violent, devastating tornadoes, and unfortunately, we've got a long night ahead of us.
Yeah, and Tuscaloosa is just one city. Again, Birmingham also hit, but also several of the cities in Alabama. We have another phoner, I think a councilman from, I didn't get quite the name of it, Hackleburg, Alabama. James Aglin, Councilman, thanks for joining us tonight. Can you talk about the status of your town and how it was fared with this tornado outbreak?
I cannot hear you too good. What was the question again?
Oh, we're asking you, how does your town fare with this outbreak of tornadoes today?
Our town is just devastated with this. We're just, everybody just in shock and trying to get to people and homes and businesses to see if there's anybody in them that you know, buried in some of them. Almost every building business in Hackleburg has had either destroyed or almost the roofs are gone. So everybody's just in shock, but everybody's pulling together and working, you know, trying to help each other. We've got people coming from out of town, other rescues, squads and things, and everybody's coming together.
And Councilman Aglin, are you aware of any fatalities or injuries at this point?
Our phone reception is bad, isn't it? What did you say now?
Are you aware of any fatalities or injuries at this point in Hackleburg?
I don't know of any fatalities, but we have got a lot of injuries, and some of them are pretty bad. We have all the hospitals around Russell, Hamilton, Winfield are full. They're turning people to Hackleburg, Alabama, Etowah County, Mississippi, Red Bay, Alabama. The hospitals are almost full, but we're still having to take them further away than we had started on. I don't know how many injuries we've got, but there've been a lot of people injured, and ambulances are still running.
And Mr. Anglin, how did you weather this tornado as it came through your town?
We done good. We was at my home, which is about a mile and a half, 2 miles out of town, at the storm cellar. We were standing in the door of the storm cellar, and we'd been warned that this storm was had touched down just north of Hamilton, and so we saw it come close to my house, and it looked like a funnel cloud in that. And we got in the storm house, and then when we come out, we heard that it had hit Hackleburg. So we rushed right on up to town to see if we could be of any help to anybody, and I just couldn't believe it. Our school is destroyed. Our only manufacturer in town, Wrangler Distribution Center, is destroyed. Only grocery store.
All right, Councilman.
Only pharmacy.
Councilman Agler, we're going to have to take a quick break. We appreciate that update. Coming right back. All right, severe weather continues here, and a live look at our nation's capital, where we have severe weather rolling through, tornado warnings in place for the D.C. area up into Baltimore.
Yeah, right now in the Maryland side, we have PG County, that's Prince George County, as well as Anne Arundel County, both under tornado warning, as well as up towards the Baltimore area. Baltimore County, that's northern parts of the area. Again, Howard County and Carroll County, all under tornado warnings. Rotation reported with this storm near western Howard County, so watch out there around the Baltimore area, as well as the PG and Charles and Anne Arundel County area. A funnel cloud reported with this storm near Kokeek a little bit earlier. So again, we could have a tornado develop at any time in this area. D.C. and the Baltimore area are both under tornado warnings.
Extremely violent night of weather. Dr. Greg Forbes issuing a 10 as far as the Torcon goes, first time in history. So let's head back out to Dr. Greg Forbes and Carl Parker with the very latest.
And if you're just joining us right now, it's been a terrible night in parts of Alabama. We've had large wedge tornadoes moving across the central and northern part of the state, right across Tuscaloosa, right across Birmingham as well. We've heard about extreme damage in West Birmingham, buildings being flattened apparently. There could be very serious loss of life as well. We've not yet heard about that. And the tornadoes are still going at this hour. Still tornado emergencies into DeKalb County in Alabama and Tuscaloosa, Hale, Bibb, and Perry counties as well.
Yeah, indeed they are, and we certainly have storms with rotation all the way up into Washington, D.C. and Baltimore areas, as you've seen. That's what we have here, but they're not as big as the storms down in the Gulf states. But one of these little hooks that's heading its way up toward Towson, Maryland, just going to go to the north of downtown Baltimore. Then here off on the east and northeast flanks of Washington, D.C. area, just to the east of Alexandria near Upper Marlboro, and then going to go in between Bowie and Annapolis. But the big storms, the big supercells then are down in the areas of Alabama. We know that Birmingham has been hit. That storm has gotten itself reorganized again with a huge storm, the Lavenders, a big hail, and then we have a hook echo still in progress there with very strong rotation still on this storm. The storm up then toward the north, we also have a tornado emergency for that storm up in the northeast corner, up near the Sylvania Valley Head area, and still many other storms ongoing that are with extreme tornadoes in parts of Alabama and Mississippi.
All right, we want to get out to Jeff Marrow right now, who's in Birmingham, Alabama. Jeff, you watched as this large wedge tornado passed off to your north. You basically witnessed a monster passing through the Birmingham area.
I'm good.
It was like nothing I've ever seen before. And it's not the classic Wizard of Oz kind of ropey tornado that you think of, or sometimes you see in chaser video. This thing was a monster. This was a huge black monster. It looked to be at least a mile wide, as you saw it on TV, generally moved from west to east across the north side of Birmingham. I've got some damage reports here. These are preliminary now. Bessemer police say that they are in the town of Pleasant Grove, that people were trapped in a house there. Also in Pleasant Grove, the damage in and around Pleasant Grove Middle School, evidently. Severe damage in Fultondale, no exact location, but that is also a suburb. An apartment collapsed with people trapped inside at 825 Cherry Avenue, and the fire station 18 Avenue. Those are just some of the preliminary reports, and from what we understand, there's just a huge damage swath from the southwest side of town near Bessemer all the way through the north side of town, and then as Greg said, this storm is continuing to move away to the northeast. But from the time we saw debris basically falling from the sky to the time we saw the tornado move by, again guys, it's not like anything I've ever seen before, and I've been in the business almost 30 years.
All right, Jeff, very disturbing to think about what has happened there in the Birmingham area, but this severe weather outbreak is far from over. Greg, we've still got a lot of tornadic storms now rolling through Alabama. What's next? What big cities? What's going to happen in Atlanta tonight?
Yeah, it's certainly about 3 hours away from Atlanta as these storms roll out of Birmingham or in Alabama into Georgia. Still down to the south of Alabama, here's Tuscaloosa. Still here, another one of these debris balls just about 4 miles southwest of West Blockton, heading toward Montevallo. So that is one of the storms that's going to be heading its way toward the Atlanta area. And then down on the Mississippi-Alabama border, we have still a tornado that's in progress there near Stonewall, Mississippi.
Closed captioning hours on the Weather Channel brought to you by Sears Blue Lawn and Garden Crew.
Alabama, numerous buildings have been leveled here, and there's reports of some damage even on the University of Alabama campus.
And the University Mall getting clipped by this tornado as well in Tuscaloosa. This same violent storm moved its way into Birmingham. Our Jeff Marrow is out there live saying he's never seen anything like this in 30 years, calling it a black monster with a huge swath of damage.
And let's join someone who's actually in that county area right now. It's Mark Kelly with the Jefferson County Emergency Management. And thanks for joining us, Mark. Tell us about the status of Birmingham and the other areas around Jefferson County tonight.
Well, as you might imagine, widespread damage throughout the city of Birmingham and the surrounding county to the north of the city.
When you say widespread damage, we're hearing that buildings are completely leveled, possibly missing. Can you confirm that?
We have had those reports. We are just getting our personnel back into the field to do some assessment and report back. Obviously, we pulled them in as the storm approached. So we expect to have more information or more solid information on that a little later. But some of the reports we have received, we have obviously scores of trees and power lines down. We have people trapped in buildings. We have high tension lines on the interstate, down on the interstate north of town. We've had damage to one of the city's fire stations in the northern part of the city, a gas leak in that same general area. So, and then out in the community of Pleasant Grove, which is to the west of the city, one of the first cities in the county here hit by the storm. We have reports of fatalities there, as yet unconfirmed, but pretty solid reports of several fatalities in that area. And that's where some of the major property damage has occurred as well.
All right, thank you very much. That's Mark Kelly with the Jefferson County Emergency Management Office. And again, we definitely have our thoughts and prayers with the folks all across Alabama dealing with this tragedy tonight.
Absolutely, and we want to send it out to Dr. Greg Forbes and Carl Parker once again, where a number of tornado warnings still in effect right now, guys.
And this is going to end up being one of the greatest tornado outbreaks in American history. Already just an unbelievable amount of damage, and it's not over yet. We've got a long way to go.
No, it's not. And some of the storms now beginning to enter northwest Georgia, and with the lines northwest southeast, they're going to slowly from northwest Georgia, slowly down the western parts of Georgia, move into town. Right here is the first of those to move in. This one coming right across near into now Lafayette in northwest Georgia. This one has had a tornado emergency as it's come out of DeKalb County in Alabama now into northwest parts of Georgia. I'll slide down. The next storm down the line here in Alabama is the one that hit Birmingham and previously hit Tuscaloosa. Still a huge hook echo on this one heading toward the Ragland area. This one will roll its way in about 1 hour from now up into Georgia. I slide it a little bit over here. So this one in about 1 hour will be coming to Rome, Georgia, heading across the Piedmont area with still a very strong rotation on that. Let's go now slide a little bit to the south of Birmingham. There's Birmingham right up at the top of the screen. Still very strong storm south of Birmingham, heading toward the Alabaster area. In fact, there's a debris ball here a few miles east of West Blockton, going to head toward the Alabaster area, the Chelsea, the Vincent area, generally toward Talladega. That's about an hour from the Talladega area generally. Farther down the line, still another thunderstorm there with rotation heading toward the Centerville area, one after another storms along the line. Then if I go over into eastern parts of Mississippi, this is the Alabama-Mississippi line. We're south of Meridian, Mississippi, just to the east of Enterprise. An extremely strong tornado there has rolled through the Stonewall area. This is another one of the places where we've had a sighted large tornado with tornado emergencies, and it's still a very strong tornado vortex signature. The red's eastbound, the green's westbound, and that one is going to continue to roll into Alabama. I'll slide a little bit and see where that's heading toward places near Listman, between Listman and Cuba, Alabama, generally toward the Demopolis, Alabama area. So dangerous storms in a line now, running from south of Meridian, Mississippi, up to south of Tuscaloosa, south of Birmingham, up toward near Gadsden, and getting closer to Rome, Georgia. And the storms then continue up into eastern parts of Tennessee. So extremely dangerous night in Tennessee. The storms are rolling across the area just to the south and east of Knoxville, east of Marysville, another on its way toward the Marysville area, yet one more in that train of storms near the Dayton area that will head toward the same area. So in addition to the tornado threat, with these storms all rolling along the same path, it's a flash flood threat also, because training the storms almost on the same track, rolling with flooding and tornadoes.
And where are we for the night? Have we hit the peak of this event yet?
I think we're peaking now. It may go downhill, but let's hope that's the case.
We've got a lot more on this tornado outbreak coming up in just a few minutes. Please stay with us.